Chapter 988. 2 months after the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion left the ancient beast world, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion made another shocking move, puzzling all the factions in the Bedlam land. What is the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion doing? Those large mineral veins have not been fully exploited, yet they are leaving. Did they find new mineral veins? The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion abandoned some of the large mineral veins in the outer regions of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. There were no primordial core realm experts, not even true energy realm miners. The people of the major forces entered the mine to investigate and found that the mine was almost completely excavated, but not completely excavated. The remaining resources here were enough to make some small forces go crazy. The middle forces were tempted, and even the major forces would not easily give up. The Bedlam land was huge, and there were many mineral veins that had not been exploited. After being chased out of the ancient beast world by the demon race, these factions were all looking for mineral veins. Now that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had suddenly left, it aroused suspicion. Did the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion find some large mineral veins and did not want these resources? Someone agreed with this guess. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was always lucky. They had stayed here for 10,000 years and did not find any mineral veins, but the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had found them. Moreover, the place where the pavilion was built was a rare treasure land. It was said that it was a land of dragons. I don't know what kind of luck the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion has. They got all the good stuff, a family leader said angrily. Someone walked into the hall and whispered in Shangguan Feixiong's ear. Shangguan Feixiong's expression changed. They were in the market that had been destroyed and rebuilt many years ago. What happened? Someone asked when they saw Shangguan Feixiong's expression. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's influence has shrunk once again. This time, a total of 5 ore veins have been emptied. 4 of them are similar to this one, but there is still 1 ore vein that hasn't even been mined by half. What? Everyone's expression changed. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion did not even want the primordial stone mineral veins. What are they doing? Everyone wanted to know the answer, but no one had an answer. At that moment, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had been uprooted along with the mountain below it and kept by the purple gold gourd. Rumbling sounds could be heard continuously as the earth quaked and the mountains shook. After the Heavenly Barbarian Hall, Ziqin began to collect the other mountains around him, such as the Treasure Pavilion and the Heritage Hall. While Ziqin was collecting these items, groups of cultivators from the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion were led by Dan Yuan and entered the pavilion. Most of them were true energy realm miners. They belonged to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, but they had never entered the pavilion before. Now that they had arrived, curiosity was written all over their faces. "Stop looking. Follow me," the leader, Dan Yuan, shouted. Then he led his subordinates, who were all at the true element boundary, to an open space a few miles away. There was a huge transmission array there that led directly to the barbarian land. "You guys lead your men to the barbarian lands first. We'll be there shortly," LV Peng said to Wild Wolf and the others. Everyone nodded. Then they led their men into the transmission array. Rays of light flashed, and the figures of the cultivators disappeared one after another. There were only 3 decent forces in the barbarian lands. They were Lu, Wang, and Qin. Although Ziqin had cut off all dealings with the Qin family, the Qin family had made a name for themselves in the barbarian lands with their extraordinary alchemy skills. Compared to the past, the Qin family was much more low-key now. Other than being intimidated by Ziqin, the main reason was that the Qin family could only be ranked 3rd in the barbarian lands. On this day, the cultivators who were investigating the ruins suddenly felt the earth tremble. Then they looked up and saw a blinding light flashing in the depths of the ruins. This light was extremely bright. It shot straight into the sky and did not dissipate for a long time. Ultimate treasure. A ultimate treasure has appeared. Hurry back to the family and report. A group of cultivators exclaimed and hurriedly reported the news. Soon, some Dan Yuan experts heard the news and arrived outside the ruins. After so many years of development and the appearance of the calamity avoidance pill, the barbarian lands had completely changed. There were many Dan Yuan experts. When they saw the light in the depths of the ruins, their faces were filled with excitement. Then they went deeper into the ruins. After hundreds of years of exploration, almost every family had at least one path that led to the depths of the ruins. When they reached the depths of the ruins, they found that the depths had changed greatly. As far as the eye could see, there was an empty area. On the ground, there was a stone soil that was emitting light. Clearly, there was a formation operating here. The originally dilapidated ruins had long since disappeared. This place was empty and neat. At a glance, this empty area occupied hundreds of miles. The rich spiritual chi of heaven and earth emitted colorful lights that floated in the sky. The light was at the center of this empty area. The light did not dissipate for a long time. It was not the appearance of an ultimate treasure. Instead, it was a huge transmission array. At this moment, the transmission array was flashing continuously. Groups of cultivators appeared one after another. These cultivators were of different realms. They ranged from true essence to Dan Yuan. After they appeared, they left the transmission array and arrived at the empty area. What's going on? The Dan Yuan experts of the various forces looked at the Dan Yuan experts of the Lu family who had arrived first. Zi Chen wants to rebuild the Wuji sect, an elder of the Lu family said. What? Rebuild the Wuji sect? Zi Chen is back. Everyone exclaimed. The news of Zi Chen's return had not spread in the barbarian lands yet. Why did he bring so many people to rebuild the Wuji sect? The Wang family expert asked. The elder said the former Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion moved back and changed its name to the Wuji sect. When the Wuji sect was established, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion disappeared. When everyone heard this, they sighed. Moving the entire sect was obviously a big move, a really big move. More and more cultivators came out of the transmission array. There were already more than 10,000 of them, and the number of Dan Yuan experts had already exceeded 100. They stood neatly on the empty ground like soldiers waiting to be inspected. In the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, Zi Chen had already put away the Inheritance Hall and the Treasure Pavilion, as well as the other 2 mountains. LV Peng nodded and said, "It's done. Just use these mountains as the foundation." At this moment, in addition to groups of cultivators, there was also a large group of Dan Yuan experts following Zi Chen. LV Peng said to them, "Go and take away all the halls and pavilions that can be taken away, so that we don't have to rebuild them when the time comes." The group of Dan Yuan experts nodded and then went to the mountains. Most of the buildings in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion were built on the mountains, and more than 90% of the mountains here had been cut off at the waist. Wu Lu flew over from afar and said, "We've successfully evacuated 12 mineral veins. The others are still being mined and will be evacuated gradually." Zi Chen said, "Tell everyone to speed up." Wu Lu nodded and then retreated to the side. Zi Chen scanned the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion and asked, "What should we do with this place?" LV Peng said, "There's only one teleportation formation left here. It's to be used at critical moments. Once we've completely moved, the formation here will be fully activated and connect with all the underground spirit veins, forming an impassable zone." The number of cultivators in the ruins was close to 100,000. Such a large number shocked the local forces. At this moment, a light flashed again, and Zi Chen and the rest appeared. "Zi Chen, it's really him. He's really back." Everyone saw Zi Chen at a glance. After Zi Chen appeared, he looked around. LV Peng explained, "This place has been flattened with a formation. After a few days, the ground will completely turn into flat mountain rocks. What we need to do now is to use these mountains as the formation foundation. In the future, The expansion of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion will be centered on these mountains. After that, LV Peng gave Zichen pointers on where to place the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's main hall and the other mountains. This was extremely precise. Zichen released the mountains according to LV Peng's instructions. Seeing the towering mountains falling from Zichen's small gourd, the local forces' cultivators in the distance were completely stunned. Loud rumbling sounds could be heard continuously as the mountains fell. The main hall was on the mountain peak, and it was surrounded by rainbow-colored spiritual energy clouds. It was like a fairyland. LV Peng was in charge of the reconstruction this time. He said to the primordial core cultivators, "Take the elixir weapons and move outside with this empty space as the center. Wherever you go, all the formations will be destroyed and the formation foundation will be shattered." The primordial core cultivators nodded and then started to move outside, destroying the original remnants of the formations. If all the people in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion were to migrate back, there would be hundreds of thousands of people. Naturally, a place that was only a few hundred miles wide would not be able to accommodate everyone. Therefore, after the main building was built, they started to expand until they occupied more than half of the ruins. During this time, LV Peng had already sketched out a blueprint in his mind. It included the area where the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion would be built. As it was a sect, an extremely formal sect, LV Peng had arranged for the inner sect, outer sect, and servants. If one wanted to become an inner sect disciple, one had to be at the primordial core realm. The outer sect disciple was at the flight realm, while the servants were at the vital essence realm. As for the servants, they did not have any servants yet. However, after the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was built, they would recruit servants from the barbarian lands. These servants were all mortals with the potential to cultivate. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion provided them with resources to cultivate. Once they had a breakthrough in their abilities, they would be promoted and become servants or enter the outer sect. This was a simple idea in LV Peng's mind. They needed to build areas for these people to live in. As for the specific division of ranks and duties, they would need to communicate with Zichen and the rest in detail after the construction was completed. According to the blueprint that LV Peng had sketched out, all the cultivators were busy. They were busy without sleep or rest. During this time, LV Peng led some cultivators who knew about formations to rebuild the sect's protective formation. Zichen also returned to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion several times to collect a few more mountains without affecting the power of the great formation of the Land of Despair. Hundreds of thousands of people were busy. Finally, after half a year, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was successfully built. The forces of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion in the Land of Chaos also completely withdrew from the Land of Chaos. In the clouds, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion sat at the top. It was like a celestial pavilion. However, the words Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had been changed to Wuji Pavilion. Chapter 989. Zichen stood on the 9th floor of the palace and looked down at the entire Wuji sect. As far as the eye could see, there were rows of neatly arranged buildings that stretched for thousands of kilometers with the everlasting palace at the center. The entire everlasting sect was divided into several regions. There was the residence of the senior elders, the inner sect, and the outer sect. Everyone in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had retreated. There were hundreds of thousands of members in the Wuji sect now. Even the weakest cultivator was in the true energy realm. Sect leader, everything is ready. It's time to open the sect. Wu Lu walked up the stairs and stood behind Zichen. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had changed its name to the Wuji sect. Zichen had successfully become the sect leader. The Wuji sect didn't invite other forces to the opening ceremony. Zichen followed Wu Lu down the stairs and left the main peak. They walked to a huge square. This was a martial arts arena. A 100-meter-tall platform was built in the middle of the square. Zichen stood on the platform. Beside him were the demon ape and Wang Qiong. Behind him were Wu Lu, He Feng, and the others. Below the platform was a group of cultivators from the Wuji sect. They were led by a group of core essence cultivators. Their realms were ranked from the late stage to the early stage. Then they were in the air. Behind them were the true energy realm cultivators. Hundreds of thousands of people stood together. They were so densely packed that one couldn't see the end of them. From today onwards, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion will no longer exist. We will face the world with another identity, and that is the Wuji sect. Zichen looked around and said coldly, "Today the Wuji sect is officially established. Greetings, sect leader." The cultivators of the Wuji sect bowed to Zichen. Zichen waved his hand and signaled for everyone to stand up. He said loudly, "From today onwards, the most important thing for all of you is to cultivate. Try your best to increase your strength as quickly as possible. I promise that all cultivators who have reached a bottleneck can apply for resources to break through the bottleneck. There's no limit to the resources." Below, hundreds of thousands of cultivators were excited when they heard this. They shouted, "Sect leader," again. "All right, next, I'll announce the personnel appointments," Zichen said loudly. The hundreds of thousands of people immediately fell silent. Even the sound of breathing could not be heard. Elder Gue will still be the Grand Elder of the Wuji sect. He will enjoy the same treatment and authority as the sect leader. As soon as Zichen finished speaking, a beam of light flashed on the stage and Elder Gue appeared. A black and white token appeared in Zichen's hand. This was the Elder's token. After Elder Gue took it, the crowd below started to shout, "Great Elder!" Old Gue nodded in acknowledgement. He didn't stay for long and disappeared in a flash. Wang Qiong will be appointed as the vice sect leader. He will have the same authority as the sect leader. Zichen took out another token. The token was still black and white, but it was a unique sect master token. Its effect was similar to that of the Supreme Elder token. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had been established for close to 200 years. Zichen had spent less than a quarter of his time in the pavilion. The rest of the time, he had been led by Wang Qiong. When Zichen had been in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, he had only represented a powerful deterrent and a belief. The ones who had truly brought the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion to prosperity were Wang Qiong and the rest. Hence, Wang Qiong enjoyed the same authority as the sect leader. No one had any objections. This was also the result that everyone wanted to see. Wang Qiong stepped forward to receive the token and enjoyed the attention of the crowd. Everyone shouted in unison, "Deputy Sect Leader." Appoint LV Peng as an elder. He will be given an elder's token and a mountain peak. He will be in charge of the array masters of the Wuji sect. Zichen's voice rang out again. The Wuji sect was mostly flat land. There were very few mountain peaks. Zichen had moved them over from the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. On each mountain, there were people who had contributed greatly to the Wuji sect. LV Peng was the #1 array master in the Wuji sect. Over the years, he had nurtured many array masters with great potential. When the war started, the array masters would play the most important role. Zichen needed such a strong team. Therefore, he asked LV Peng to form his own faction in the Wuji sect and let him choose from all the geniuses. Appoint Wild Wolf as an elder. He will be given an elder's token and a mountain peak. He will be in charge of the ancient beasts of the Wuji sect. Wild Wolf was originally an ordinary wild beast. However, he had broken through to the primal core realm. Regardless of whether it was his talent or his opportunities, he was extraordinary. It was best to let him take care of the ancient beasts that were still alive. Appoint Black Wind as an elder. He will be given an elder's token. Appoint Zhang Tong as an elder. He will be given an elder's token. Appoint. Zichen appointed 5 more elders in one go. However, it was only a position. He did not give them any mountain peaks. Appoint Qin Xing as an elder. He will be given an elder's token and a mountain peak. He will be in charge of the Wuji sect's alchemists. Appoint Qin he as an elder. He will be given an elder's token and will be in charge of the treasury. Appoint Ling Er as an elder. Today, Zi Chen appointed more than 20 elders at the opening ceremony. These people had followed Zi Chen for a long time. After many years, almost all of them had broken through to the later stage of the primal core realm. Not only were they elders, but they were also extremely powerful existences in the heavenly barbarian pavilion. After everyone was appointed, some observant people realized that Wu Lu was not assigned a position. It had to be known that Wu Lu had been at the heavenly barbarian pavilion's beck and call all these years. Indeed, when it came to the last one, Zi Chen mentioned Wu Lu. Appoint Wu Lu as a steward. He will be in charge of all matters of the Wuji sect. He will be given a steward's token. His position will be second only to the sect leader. An uproar broke out in the crowd. Everyone was very surprised by this appointment. When Wu Lu heard this, he was even more stunned. It had to be known that the current Wuji sect was fully formed. There were hundreds of thousands of cultivators in the sect. However, he had been assigned a steward. This position sounded like a steward, but his position was second only to the sect leader. This meant that among the hundreds of thousands of people in the Wuji sect, Wu Lu's position was second only to Zi Qin, Wang Qiong, and Elder Gui. He was definitely above the hundreds of thousands of people. When he thought about Wu Lufeng, who had thousands of people, and then looked at the hundreds of thousands of people in the Wuji sect, Wu Lu was excited. He also sighed that he had made the right bet back then. Zi Chen's appointment ended here. As the sect leader, he had nothing to do with appointing the elders. The following appointments would be made by the elders. LV Peng raised the token in his hand and said loudly, "Formation Masters, follow me." As he finished speaking, rays of light flashed from the crowd below. These were all Formation Masters, and they left with LV Peng. "Alchemy Masters, follow me." Qin Xing also shouted with the token in his hand. A few more people left the crowd, but there were even more people who did not leave. The following appointment and selection was a truly complicated process. However, they were the same as Ziqin. After appointing a few leaders, they became hands-off managers. Next, these people would appoint others. This appointment was somewhat hasty, but after a period of adjustment, everything would be better. This appointment ceremony lasted for 2 days and 2 nights. After 2 days and 2 nights, there were no more cultivators here. Everyone had been assigned. The entire Wuji sect began to operate. However, with hundreds of thousands of people together, it obviously needed a period of adjustment. In the Wuji palace, except for Gui Lao, everyone gathered again. Zi Qin sat at the head of the table. "You guys prepare well. In 7 days, we will begin to recruit servants. If you encounter someone with high potential, you can directly take him as a disciple. In order to establish a sect, in addition to experts, more servants and fresh blood were needed. Back in the chaotic lands, fresh blood was the endless stream of true energy boundary and Zephyr realm cultivators. However, in the barbarian lands, this fresh blood was the talented mortals." Everyone nodded. They were also full of anticipation for the recruitment in 7 days. The barbarian lands had undergone earth-shattering changes. The spiritual chi here had become extremely rich, so much so that it had surpassed the chaotic lands. Therefore, among the mortals born in these years, there were indeed many talented ones. Occasionally, there would be a shocking talent. During the selection, except for the Xiantian realm cultivators, LV Peng will pick the disciples with potential first. After LV Peng, it will be Qin Xing, and then you guys. LV Peng and Qin Xing were happy when they heard this, but the others were somewhat disappointed. Zi Chan waved his hand and threw out pieces of golden jade slips. The golden jade slips landed in everyone's hands. Zi Qin said seriously, "Remember the cultivation method here. This cultivation method can only be used a few times. Remember, it is not to be taught to non-direct disciples." The golden jade slips recorded the perfect cultivation method. As core realm cultivators, Everyone had extraordinary knowledge. As they probed it with their spiritual senses, their expressions changed instantly. Suddenly, a voice came from outside the palace. Then Zephyr Realm Cultivator walked in. "Greetings, Sect Master, Vice Sect Master, and all the elders." Zephyr Realm Cultivator bowed respectfully. "There is something." Zi-Chin looked at Zephyr Realm Cultivator. "Sect Master, there is someone outside looking for Vice Sect Master." "Looking for Vice Sect Master? Who is it?" Zi-Chin was puzzled. There was a second of hesitation on Zephyr Realm Cultivator's face. Then he said, "It is a woman and a young man. They said they are the Vice Sect Master's wife and son." Wife and son. Zi-Chin was stunned. Then he looked at Wang Qiong and asked, "You have a son?" No one was surprised except for him and the devil ape. Obviously, everyone knew about it. Wang Qiong nodded. "Why haven't I seen him before? Why haven't I heard you mention him?" Zi-Chin asked. Wang Qiong said, "He was brought to the Wang family the moment he was born. I have seen him a few times, but I haven't seen him for 7 or 8 years." "Why didn't you let him stay in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion?" Zi-Chin asked again. Wang Qiong smiled and said, "I'm afraid he is too proud. After staying in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion for too long, he has no ambition." "What do you mean, no ambition?" "The Vice Sect Master is afraid that his son will compete with your son for the position of Sect Master in the future. So he let him return to the Wang family," Linga said from below. Zi-Chen was stunned when he heard this. He did not think in this direction. First, he did not have a son. Second, he was brothers with Wang Qiong. This was the first time he heard that Wang Qiong had a son. He was overjoyed. How could he think of anything else? The others did not have any expression on their faces. Obviously, they all knew about this. Wang Qiong said, "Don't talk nonsense." Zi-Chan waved his hand and said seriously, "The Wuji sect does not belong to me, Zi-Chin. It belongs to everyone. The sect master's inheritance is for the virtuous and capable, not for a single person. In the future, whoever is capable will be the sect master." Chapter 990. Eternal Weapon City, Lu Family. The Everlasting Sect's first stop to recruit workers was this place. This was set when the Everlasting Sect was founded. The Lu family had spread the news early on. This time, Yongqi City's gates were wide open, and everyone could enter the city. Moreover, after the grand opening ceremony, LV Peng and Qin Xing arranged for their subordinates to fly and Dan Yuan to search for mortals with good aptitudes in the entire region. In just 7 days, Eternal Weapon City was packed with people. Most of them were mortals. Even though they knew the Boundless Sect was recruiting odd job workers, they still wanted to send their children here. Everyone knew that the Everlasting Sect valued talent, not family background. That was why the people waiting to be tested were all very polite and didn't try to pressure others. That was because no one could be sure that a beggar you looked down on might actually be a true disciple. 7 days later, the experts of the Boundless Sect arrived. Leading them was the current sect master of the Boundless Sect, Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen's name had long since become a legend in the uncivilized lands. There were countless stories about him. After hearing that Zi-Chen had arrived, the crowd immediately became restless. Cries of surprise rang out continuously. Some people even hoped that Sect Master Zi-Chen would take a liking to their children, even if they didn't dare to say they were true disciples. Just the status of a nominal disciple would be enough to bring glory to their ancestors and never have to worry about anything. Sect Master Zi-Chen. The people of the Lu family hurried forward to greet him with a humble attitude. Zi-Chen nodded in response. "The arrangements below have already been made. Sect Master Zi-Chen, please follow me." The people of the Lu family led Zi-Chen's group to a stone platform. There was a row of seats neatly arranged on the platform. Everyone sat down. Zi-Chen sat in the middle. LV Peng and the others sat to the side, and the people of the Lu family sat to the side. "All right, let's begin," Chen said indifferently. The people of the Liu family nodded, then gestured for everyone to hurry forward. The first one to step forward was a child of about 8 years old. At such a young age, he had already embarked on the path of cultivation. There was a hint of pride between his brows as he took a few steps forward and placed his small hand on a crystal ball in front of Chen. The crystal ball immediately emitted light. He had played this kind of trick countless times at home. He even knew what kind of light it was. The crystal ball glowed, and he looked up at Chen. Only then did a hint of nervousness appear on his face. Chen nodded indifferently. Nodding his head meant that he had passed. The young man should have been happy, but not only was there no happiness on his face, there was instead a lot of disappointment. Chen, who was just about to nod, suddenly glanced at the young man and said indifferently, "You didn't pass." Next, the sudden change caused everyone to look at Chen in confusion. As for the young man in front of them, he stood there in a daze, not knowing what to do. At this moment, the crystal balls in front of LV Peng and the others were also emitting light. Each one of them was a youth with potential. Chen swept his gaze over the crowd and said indifferently, "Those who have embarked on the path of cultivation, please step forward. Today we are only accepting ordinary mortals." Chen's actions completely stunned the Liu family. It had to be said that this matter had been arranged by them. So, for the sake of convenience, they had arranged for all of the youths with potential to be in front of Chen, LV Peng, and the others. Their goal wasn't purely to enter the boundless sect, but to become disciples of these people and become direct disciples. But they hadn't expected that Chen would disqualify the others as soon as he tested the first one. It had to be said that LV Peng and Qin Xing had clearly been moved by this. Clearly, they had found someone they liked. But when they saw that Chen had no intention of continuing to explain, they could only tactfully shut their mouths. After the Liu family waved their hands, dozens of youths at the front of the line left in disappointment. "Uncle, their potential isn't bad. Why did you give them up?" A young voice came from behind Chen. This was a youth around 15 or 16 years old. He had delicate features and a heroic aura. Unfortunately, the hairs at the corners of his mouth hadn't yet faded, making him look slightly immature. He was Wang Chong's son, Wang Weiyu. It was said that this name had been given to him by Wu Yu, meaning that Wang Qiong was afraid of Wu Yu. Chen treated Wang Weiyu extremely well. Although Chen didn't have any children, everyone could sense that Chen treated Wang Weiyu even better than his own children. At this moment, no one dared to ask. Only Wang Weiyu wasn't afraid. Chen rubbed Wang Weiyu's head and smiled. Potential doesn't represent everything. If potential doesn't represent everything, then what does? Wang Weiyu didn't understand. You'll understand in the future. Chen's potential could only be described as ordinary, but he had his current accomplishments. As long as he had enough resources, even someone with a slight spirit root could be nurtured into a Xiantian cultivator by Chen. Potential could only represent your starting point. It couldn't determine your entire life. Chen was recruiting people here to provide them with an opportunity. Whether they could soar to the heavens or not depended on whether they could be mediocre. In Chen's eyes, potential didn't represent anything, but attitude did. When the Liu family member saw Chen nod, he was extremely disappointed that he hadn't been able to become Chen's direct disciple. He wasn't happy that he had entered the everlasting sect. He felt that his talent was high enough to enter the everlasting sect. If he entered the everlasting sect with this kind of attitude, he would feel that the everlasting sect would provide him with all the resources in the future. He wouldn't feel grateful to the everlasting sect, and he might even resent the everlasting sect for their unfair distribution of resources in the future. Chen wouldn't recruit such a person, no matter how high his potential was. Moreover, in the Wuji sect, there were too many people with high potential in terms of elixir essence and flight speed. The Liu family member seemed to understand Chen's meaning, and he secretly regretted that he hadn't explained things properly. This was just a guess Zi-Chin had made after seeing the other party's expression. It couldn't be 100% correct, but Zi-Chen's thoughts would determine everything. In front of Zi-Chin, the crystal ball lit up again, but the light wasn't very bright. It was much dimmer than before. It could be said that this person had potential, but not high. Under the other party's expectant gaze, Zi-Chin nodded. Pass. The youth was extremely excited, almost jumping up and down in excitement. His family members, who were watching from afar, were also extremely happy. Among the mortals who came this time, there were many disciples with potential. Over 500 people were recruited on the same day. Some had good aptitudes, and some had bad aptitudes. However, Zi-Chan would accept any mortal who could make the crystal ball glow. As for how far they would go in the future, that would depend on them. That night, the Liu family members came to the inn to find Zi-Chin. Evidently, they were here to discuss the matter of the youths. Zi-Chin said they've already embarked on the path of cultivation. They started early and have a high starting point, so it's not suitable for them to hang around with mortals who have never cultivated before. This will make them feel superior, which will make the mortals feel inferior. After this, I will give you some quotas. You can send them directly to the everlasting sect. Zi-Chin had left some quotas for the Liu family, but the Liu family members weren't happy. After all, these people would be branded as members of the Liu family. Perhaps they would be given good resources, but they would never be able to come into contact with the core of the everlasting sect, and they would never be able to become core members of the everlasting sect. Damn it! The Liu family members were furious, but they were also very regretful. They hadn't expected that the cause of all this was a youth. That youth had the highest potential in the Liu family, and he was usually spoiled. They hadn't expected that he would cause such a disaster today. The next day, the recruitment continued, and it lasted for 7 days. During these 7 days, Liu Peng and the others didn't find anyone with high potential who could be accepted as a true disciple. However, there were quite a few who had potential, so the overall harvest was great. On the 8th day, the recruitment in Eternal Weapon City had come to an end. Next, they would go to the other large cities, where the other forces had already made their preparations. Just as Zi-Chen and the others were preparing to leave, a figure ran over from afar. It was a 5- or 6-year-old boy. His clothes were tattered, his body was thin, and he even had a long nose. He seemed to have run over from a very far place. Although he was thin and bony, he was sweating profusely. "Are you still recruiting?" He took a deep breath and sniffed the snot into his nose. Looking at Zi-Chen and the others who were about to leave, he asked nervously. On his dirty little face, there was hope and fear, but his eyes were firm. Everyone looked at each other and shook their heads. In fact, there was no need for a test. They only needed to use their spiritual sense to sense the little guy's potential. He had almost no potential at all. Seeing everyone shake their heads, the little guy's eyes were filled with unwillingness and stubbornness. He took another deep breath and asked, "Can I try?" The others wanted to say something, but a light flashed in front of Zi-Chin, and he said, "Come, you can try." Everyone looked at Zi-Chen in surprise. They had already seen that the little guy had no potential, so Zi-Chen should be able to see it too. The little guy stepped forward, but he didn't take the test. Instead, he bowed to Zi-Chen and said, "Thank you. Come, try." The little guy took a deep breath and placed his hand on the crystal ball. Everyone stared at the crystal ball. Even though they already knew the result, they still wanted to see it. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. There was no reaction from the crystal ball, not even a little bit of light. Sighs came from all around, and the young man's firm eyes wavered. Suddenly, the crystal ball released a dazzling light. The light was as dazzling as the sun. Seeing the dazzling light, everyone was stunned. How is this possible? They couldn't understand how the little guy with no potential could make the crystal ball release such a dazzling light. The little guy stared blankly at the glowing crystal ball in front of him. The wavering eyes became firm again. "Good, good, good." Zi-Chin said "good" 3 times, With such potential, it can be said to be superior. Are you willing to take me as your master? Lu Peng and the others turned their heads and looked at Zichen with a strange look in their eyes. The little guy was also stunned by the sudden happiness. He was stunned and didn't answer immediately. However, under the exclamations from all around, he quickly reacted. He took 2 steps back and kowtowed. Disciple Qin Feng greets master. Envious gazes came from all around. Obviously, such a good thing fell on the slug. Zichen said happily, "Your potential is very high. I will teach you a cultivation technique that is suitable for you. However, I want you to improve twice as fast as others. Otherwise, I will take back the cultivation technique and abolish your cultivation." "Master, don't worry. Disciple will work hard and not disappoint master." Qin Feng kowtowed again. Zichen pointed at the space between his eyebrows, and a cultivation technique appeared in his sea of consciousness. "After returning to the sect, I will provide you with resources. You don't need to do anything else. You just need to cultivate. However, I will let you see your progress." "Yes." Although Qin Feng felt that this cultivation technique was strange, he still nodded. After that, Zichen turned his head and said, "I have already recruited a disciple, so I won't go anywhere else. You all can go. Ling Er. Qin Feng will be your junior brother from now on. Take good care of him, but don't help him while he is cultivating." "Got it." Ling Er dragged her voice out. After that, everyone left with Qin Feng. As for the other children who passed, they were brought back to the everlasting sect. Chapter 991. The Lightning Dominion had an extremely special meaning to Zichen. The first time he avoided being hunted down, he relied on the Lightning Dominion. After that, the lightning in the Lightning Dominion became his trump card again and again, and he used this lightning to resolve danger time and time again. To Zichen, the Lightning Dominion was a lucky place. Legend has it that the Lightning Dominion was formed after a corner of the Lightning Divine Temple collapsed. Now that the Lightning Divine Temple had reappeared in the world, Zichen had to go to the Lightning Dominion to take a look. He had to find out what exactly that corner of the Lightning Divine Temple was. The lightning in the Lightning Dominion was still rumbling. Zichen's perfect spiritual sense couldn't detect anything abnormal in the outside world. Now that the Lightning Dominion was no longer effective against him, his figure flashed and entered the Lightning Dominion. His figure flashed again, and he had already reached the 9th level of the Lightning Dominion. Without the lightning mark between his eyebrows, Zichen could enter the 9th level of the Lightning Dominion with his own strength. In the 9 levels of the Lightning Dominion, the lightning energy was still divided into different levels. Each level was stronger than the previous one. Lightning crystals floated above the 9 levels of the Lightning Dominion. The big ones were as big as a fist, and the small ones were as big as walnuts. These lightning crystals were no longer attractive to Zichen, but they were still rare materials for refining. As he extended his spiritual sense, the surrounding lightning crystals gathered towards Zichen. After collecting these lightning crystals, the golden mark between Zichen's eyebrows reappeared. He felt pressure from this level and didn't dare to be careless. Sure enough, when the mark appeared, the pressure on Zichen decreased greatly, but there was still an oppressive aura. Clearly, in the depths of the Lightning Dominion, there was still lightning that could threaten Zichen. Zichen began to go deeper, and soon reached the place where he obtained the Lightning Spirit Crystal Soul. He then took a step forward. This was the 2nd level of the Lightning Dominion, and the power of the lightning was 1 level higher. Lightning roared, but it circled around Zichen. After Zichen entered the 2nd level, he saw many thunder crystals, but he did not see any thunder soul crystal bodies. Zichen continued to go deeper, and after a few hundred meters, he reached the 3rd level. As soon as he reached the 3rd level, Zichen saw a piece of thunder spirit crystal essence. This thunder spirit crystal essence was not a thunder dragon, but a unicorn. A piece of thunder spirit crystal essence could be refined into a peerless, powerful weapon. With Zi-Chen's current strength, he could definitely refine a peak-level, powerful weapon. One had to know that the limit of a human was the human level. Beyond the human level, one had completely broken away from the concept of a human. However, before Zi-Chen could keep this lightning spirit crystal soul, he heard a loud and clear dragon roar resound in this world. A glaring silver light cut through the space of the lightning region and charged towards the lightning spirit crystal soul. Ding! Then there was a crisp sound that overshadowed the thousands of thunder and lightning. A silver spear directly pierced a hole in the lightning spirit crystal soul. The dragon's soul mark on the spear was constantly glowing, and there was a dragon's power spreading out. In the lightning spirit crystal soul, the soul was changing. Sometimes it turned into lightning. Sometimes it turned into a strange beast, as if it was struggling. Under the perception of spiritual sense, Zi-Chen saw that the soul in the lightning spirit crystal soul was being devoured by the dragon soul spear. As expected of a human-level spiritual weapon, it can sense and devour on its own. Looking at the dragon soul spear, Zi-Chen sighed. It was a pity to lose a piece of lightning spirit crystal soul. But compared to the dragon soul spear, it was nothing. It took the dragon soul spear a quarter of an hour to completely devour the lightning spirit crystal soul. The dragon soul spear turned into a ray of light and flew back. The previous lightning spirit crystal soul had lost its soul and became a pure thunder crystal. After advancing for about 10 meters, Zi-Chen found another piece of lightning spirit crystal soul. But this time the dragon soul spear did not devour it on its own. It was still a lightning spirit crystal soul that could turn into a strange beast. There were still many lightning crystals floating in the surroundings. Zi-Chen took all of them without hesitation. In the entire barbarian lands and the Bedlam lands, it seemed that only Zi-Chen could enter this place. Therefore, the things here had not been touched by others, and he could take them as he wished. After that, it was the 4th level, the 5th level. When Zi-Chen's harvest was not small, he gradually felt the pressure. When he reached the 6th level, Zi-Chen felt that he had reached his limit. He could at most advance another level, or else his life would be in danger. No, I have to go deeper. Zi-Chen paused at the 6th level for a while, then adjusted himself and stepped into the 7th level. This lightning territory was extremely special. Since Zi-Chen could feel that it was extraordinary, others could naturally feel it as well. Until now, no experts had stepped into this place. Firstly, there were no experts in this area, and secondly, no one in the outside world knew that there was a lightning territory that was related to the Lightning Divine Palace. If they knew, there would definitely be a large number of experts coming here. Even Earth Yuan experts might be tempted to come here. Just as Zi-Chen stepped into the 7th level lightning territory, he felt a terrifying pressure descend. This pressure was extremely frightening. Even with Zi-Chen's perfect body, he could not withstand it. His body swayed and he almost fell down. In this level 1 thunder territory, there were even more thunder crystals floating in the sky, densely packed. In addition, there were also many thunder soul crystal souls. These thunder soul crystal souls were very large in size, and they faintly emitted a fierce aura. Along the way, Zi-Chen's experience was extraordinary. He had seen almost all of the heavenly treasures. However, when he saw the lightning crystals and lightning spirit crystal souls in front of him, he was still a little stunned. This was because there were simply too many of these things. They could totally be called a treasure trove. Zi-Chen raised his foot and stepped forward. Just as he took another step, the pressure around him increased once again. Zi-Chen's bones emitted cracking sounds, as if they were about to break under the high pressure. This lightning territory is indeed frightening. If a mortal Yuan realm expert without a perfect body came here, they would definitely be unable to move and would be exhausted to death here. Zi-Chen sighed. However, he was not worried. The lightning mark between his eyebrows emitted a bright light. forming a golden light barrier that protected Zichen in the middle. Zichen pushed the lightning mark to the limit. As expected, he felt the pressure lessen a little. However, it was only a little, and it was enough for Zichen to move. At this level, Zichen's perfect spiritual sense was also suppressed, and he could not extend it. Therefore, Zichen could only use the purple gold gourd to collect the lightning crystals and lightning spirit crystal souls. The purple gold gourd was left behind by Butcher. Its material was extremely extraordinary. Even when Zichen reached the mortal Yuan realm, he did not fully understand it. It was considered an incredible treasure. Zichen moved forward with difficulty. His bones constantly emitted cracking sounds. He endured the pressure and collected everything around him. After Zichen collected everything in the 7th level lightning territory, Zichen felt his entire body collapse. At this moment, he was in the middle of the lightning territory, surrounded by extremely terrifying lightning. He could not even use his divine ability to automatically recover. He could only take out high-grade yuan, liquefied origin, liquid to recover his energy. By the time Zichen fully recovered, he would be at the edge of the 7th level. At this point, Zichen took a deep breath. However, he did not immediately step in. The 7th level lightning territory was already unbearable to him. The 8th level was naturally even stronger. If he rashly entered, he would definitely encounter danger. After a 3-second pause, his spiritual sense moved. In the next moment, there was a rumbling sound around Zichen. 9 tall stone steels appeared around Zichen. They stood side by side, forming a circle that protected Zichen in the middle. These were sword steels powered by the 9 extremes array. At this moment, they formed a defense. Within the lightning territory, a resonant sword intent was emitted. Sword light flashed one after another. The sword light formed a defense, blocking the lightning pressure for Zichen. The pressure on Zichen was greatly relieved. Entering the 8th level lightning territory was no longer a problem, although he had a premonition that the lightning in the 8th level lightning territory would be even more terrifying. When Zichen personally experienced it, his complexion immediately changed. Under the constant devastation of the lightning, in addition to the terrifying pressure, Zichen's 9 extremes array was nearly broken apart. Zichen focused his mind. His hands formed a seal, and a golden light gushed out from his fingers, falling onto the 9 sword steels. A moment later, the sword steels stabilized. But what was worth mentioning was that the sword steels didn't show any signs of damage when facing the bombardment of lightning. The sturdiness of their materials was beyond imagination. After completely stabilizing the sword steels, Zichen had time to look around. With a glance, he didn't see any thunder crystals or thunder soul crystal souls. However, he did see thunder liquid falling down like raindrops. This was the exact same thunder liquid essence as he had seen on the ancient road. At this time, what appeared in front of Zichen was a vast expanse of thunder liquid essence, just like dense raindrops. Zichen's mouth dropped open and his eyes widened. His eyes were wide with disbelief and shock. Before, the thunder crystals and thunder soul crystal souls hadn't caused Zichen to have such an expression. But as he saw this thunder liquid essence, Zichen was completely shocked. When Zichen saw the thunder crystals and thunder soul crystal souls, he thought that LV Peng and the others were each holding a human-grade weapon. But now, what appeared in front of Zichen was a large group of Xiantian realm martial artists. Thunder liquid essence could create a Xiantian realm martial artist. Zichen had personally experienced this, and he still had some thunder liquid essence on him that he hadn't had the time to give to LV Peng and the others. It was just that this thunder liquid essence was extremely limited and could only help a limited number of people break through. However, the amount of thunder liquid essence in front of him caused Zichen's expression to change. There were far too many of them. This place really is a treasure trove, a true treasure trove. Whether or not my everlasting sect will be able to rise and become one of the top powers on the martial heaven continent will all depend on this thunder liquid essence. Zi-Chen repeatedly sighed in admiration. This thunder liquid essence could create so many Xiantian realm martial artists. It could be considered an amazing treasure trove. The current Zi-Chen had an inheritance, resources, and powerful soldiers. It could be said that he had gathered all the resources needed for the everlasting sect to rise. Although the current everlasting sect couldn't compare to the everlasting sect of the past, the resources it possessed were not something an ordinary power could compare to. Right now, what the everlasting sect lacked was an Earth Yuan expert that could rank at the top of the martial heaven continent. Zi-Chen controlled the sword steel to approach the thunder liquid essence. Then he carefully put it away. Zi-Chen could already foresee a scene where a large number of Xiantian realm martial artists appeared in the everlasting sect. It took Zi-Chen a full 2 hours to collect all the thunder liquid essence. During that time he even rested. Controlling the sword steel had consumed a great deal of his energy. After putting away the thunder liquid essence, Zi-Chen adjusted the sword steel once more to enter the next level. 9 represented the limit. Zi-Chen concluded that this was the final level. At the same time, he was filled with anticipation to see what this level would hold. Could it be a sea of thunder liquid essence or a pile of thunder soul, crystal souls? Chapter 992. An unimaginable force sent Zi-Chen flying. A hole appeared in the 9 extremes array, and a huge pressure came in through the hole, wreaking havoc on Zi-Chen. Puff! Zi-Chen coughed out blood as he flew back dozens of meters. A sword steel fell in the distance, and the other 8 sword steels joined together to form a defense for Zi-Chen. What is that? Zi-Chen stood up, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, his face full of surprise. He had encountered an attack, but he didn't know what it was. After standing up, Zi-Chen formed another seal, and another sword steel flew out and returned to its place. The 9 sword steels merged into one again. The attack just now wasn't scary. Zi-Chen was in such a sorry state because he was too careless. He was focused on the pressure and didn't think of an external attack. After pondering for a moment, he decided to go forward again. The 9 sword steels formed a defense, constantly revolving around Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen went forward again, and when he reached the edge of the 9 extremes array, he raised his vigilance and stepped in. As soon as he stepped in, before Zi-Chen could see what was around him, the strong force appeared again. The defense formed by the sword steels only trembled slightly, and the force fell on Zi-Chen and then attacked Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen still didn't see anything clearly, and his whole body flew out. However, because he was fully prepared this time, he wasn't in such a sorry state. In the process of flying back, he was still able to control the sword steels to block the thunder and lightning. This time, Zi-Chen retreated more than 10 meters with the sword steels. His expression was even more uncertain. After being attacked twice, he actually didn't see what was attacking him. However, he wasn't injured this time, so Zi-Chen wasn't afraid. Instead, he was curious. Just as he was about to enter for the 3rd time, a cold and old voice came from the 9 extremes array. Scram. If you dare to come forward again, die. The voice was old and cold and filled with endless killing intent, causing Zi-Chen's face to change again. Why is there someone here? This was Zi-Chen's first reaction. Then Zi-Chen guessed that this should be the place where some expert went into seclusion. But who would be in seclusion here? Furthermore, there were many resources placed outside. Zi-Chen's face was full of confusion. His expression kept changing, but he didn't take another step forward. In the 9th grade Thunder Dominion, the old voice did not appear. Zi-Chen stood there in a daze for a full 15 minutes. During that time, his expression flickered with various emotions. In the end, he made up his mind to continue onward. He hesitated for a moment before taking 2 steps forward. This old man will warn you one more time. If you dare to step forward again, you will die. The old voice sounded again, but Zichen didn't care at all. His steps were firm and steady, one step at a time until he reached the edge of the 9th grade thunder territory. You little brat, how dare you not put me in your eyes? Just wait for me. Thunder Freer's anger. During this time, the old voice sounded out once more. It seemed that the existence within the 9th grade Thunder Dominion was already flustered and exasperated. The old man didn't immediately launch an attack. Zichen concluded that there should be some sort of situation that caused him to only be able to attack at the 9th grade. But whether or not it was, as the old man said, that he was strong enough to easily kill him, that still required Zichen to personally verify it. However, the old man's first 2 silent attacks were clearly sneak attacks. The first time, he had nearly killed him. The old man was an old man, and if he was willing to do such a dishonorable sneak attack, then his true strength couldn't be as great as he claimed. Or perhaps he was an injured person and was currently recuperating. But there was also the possibility that the old man was strong enough to kill Zichen in a single strike. There were all sorts of guesses, but all of them required Zichen to personally experience. Standing outside the 9th grade Thunder Territory, the old man's threatening words were still ringing in his ears. The lightning mark between Zichen's eyebrows emitted an even brighter light, forming an even more dazzling light shield. At the same time, Zichen pushed the 9 Extremes array to its limit. The 9 sword steels continuously emitted sword cries and released sword chi. They were like 9 rays of light that revolved around Zichen. Before entering this time, Zichen had made 120% of his preparations. After he stepped in, his eyes were glued to the front. A power that could topple mountains and overturn seas appeared once more, sweeping towards Zichen. But this time, not only did Zichen open his eyes wide, but he also spread out his spiritual sense. He wanted to see just what was attacking him. The first thing Zichen saw was a flash of light. It was a flash of lightning that was extremely dazzling. This flash of lightning was like flowing water, striking towards Zichen. However, it landed on the 9 sword steels first. The 9 sword steels were currently spinning rapidly. As they spun, they were also dispelling this huge force. The lightning and flowing water were forcibly dispersed, and the strong force was neutralized. However, there was still a force that passed through the sword steels and rushed towards Zichen. But this time, when the strong force landed on Zichen, it turned into a pushing force, pushing Zichen towards someone in front of him. Under this pushing force, Zichen retreated and left the 9th grade array. At this moment, his eyes were wide open, and his expression was one of shock. He finally saw what it was that had attacked him. However, when he saw what it was, his expression was filled with disbelief. It's lightning liquid essence. Zichen murmured as if he was moaning. The lightning and flowing water that attacked him just now was lightning liquid essence gathered together. Every drop of this thing was worth a lot, but it had actually gathered into flowing water here. How extravagant was this? Just as Zichen was in shock, the old voice sounded again. This is a lesson for you. If you dare to step forward again, you will die. Zichen completely ignored the voice. His mind was filled with thoughts of how much lightning liquid essence was there. 1,000, definitely more than that. 10,000, most likely more than that. Zichen's mind was once again shaken. 100,000. Without personally counting, no one could be sure. Putting aside what was in the 9th grade lightning domain, just the lightning liquid alone was enough for Zichen to risk his life for. Even if 100 drops of lightning liquid essence were enough to nurture a Xiantian warrior, a conservative estimate would be that there were 30,000 drops of lightning liquid essence. That was 300 Xiantian warriors. Just the lightning liquid alone was enough to nurture 300 Xiantian warriors. In addition to the mortal restoration pellets refined by the cauldron spirit, the everlasting sect would have 300 Xiantian warriors in the mortal origin realm within a few years. Let's do it. Zi Chen's eyes flickered. He was even more tempted. This time he wasn't injured and didn't need to adjust. He once again stepped forward. After entering the 9th grade lightning domain, the lightning liquid reappeared and struck at Zi Chen like a wave. Seeing the lightning, the corner of Zi Chen's mouth twitched. How extravagant! The rapidly spinning sword steel blocked more than 80% of the energy. The remaining 20% entered Zi Chen's body and was dispersed by the energy tide formed by the perfect body. The lightning liquid no longer had the slightest bit of energy and turned back into liquid. However, it returned. Zi Chen's original goal was to get it. Naturally, he couldn't let it escape. He took out the purple gold gourd and pointed the mouth of the gourd at the liquid. An illusory radiance passed through the sword steel and landed on the liquid. Following Zi Chen's command, the lightning liquid was enveloped by the illusory radiance. In the next moment, all of it was retrieved. Not a single drop was wasted. This time he had collected more than 10,000 drops of lightning liquid essence. A smile appeared on Zi Chen's face. Forget it, forget it. Since a junior like you is here for this external object, I'll give it to you. The aged voice sounded again. Then, Zi Chen saw a large amount of lightning appear in front of him. It was more lightning liquid essence rushing towards him. However, the lightning liquid essence carried unparalleled power. The old fellow was definitely not as good as he claimed. This power was extremely powerful. Ordinary people couldn't withstand it. 9 extremes, swift turn. Zi Chen wasn't blinded by greed. When he saw the lightning liquid essence, he formed seals even faster. Golden energy passed through Zi Chen's fingers and landed on the sword steel. Hum! On the sword steel, a continuous sword hum began to resound. Then, one after another, sword chi rushed out. These sword chi were extremely sharp. They were like divine weapons that slashed towards the lightning liquid in front of them. The energy clashed in the lightning field. Sword beams rushed out from the sword steel one after another. However, it was as if they had hit an iron wall. Clanging sounds rang out. In the blink of an eye, dozens of sword beams slashed out. These sword beams were enough to kill a human origin realm cultivator, but they only cut off some of the lightning liquid essence. The lightning liquid sturdiness was beyond Zi Chen's imagination. A trace of surprise immediately appeared on his face. 9 extremes, 8 extremes open. Zi Chen shouted. His hands formed seals again. Suddenly, one of the 9 rotating sword steels left. The other 8 formed a defense again. Zi Chen attached his spiritual sense to the 9th sword steel. Then he used his spiritual sense to control the sword steel and hit the lightning liquid. Boom! The sword steel carried a tremendous force. It smashed into the lightning liquid with a loud boom. The lightning liquid's momentum was instantly stopped. The sword steel also shook in the air. Zi Chen shouted again, attack again. The sword steel suddenly expanded like a towering stone wall. It carried an even more powerful aura and smashed into the lightning liquid. The sword steel hit the lightning liquid again and again. In this collision, not only was the lightning liquid unable to move forward, but its sturdy form was also slowly dispersed. During this time, the lightning liquid also increased its strength a few times. However, it was all smashed back by the huge and powerful sword steel. At this moment, the sharp sword beams lost their effect. The sword steel's impact played a decisive role. After smashing dozens of times, Zi Chen felt a sense of exhaustion and exhaustion. Finally, he smashed open the lightning liquid. With a splash, the liquid lightning dispersed and scattered on the ground like sparkling and translucent pearls. Because of this, a strange cry rang out from the depths of the Level 9 world. Without waiting for the lightning liquid essence to reform, Zi Chen picked up the purple gold gourd and began to collect it. Under the illusory light, half of the lightning liquid essence was collected by Zi Chen. However, the other half still managed to escape. After collecting the lightning liquid essence, the 9 sword steels returned to their original positions. Zichen stepped forward again. This time, Zichen didn't encounter any attacks from the lightning liquid. Even the old voice from before had disappeared. Zichen smoothly reached the center of the level 9 thunder territory. This was indeed the end. Chapter 993. In the center of the grade 9 thunder territory, there was a lightning barrier. At the center of the lightning barrier, there was a dragon head emitting endless power of thunder. This dragon head was 1 meter long, majestic and lifelike. Lightning surged around it, and the dragon's eyes were bright and full of spirit, as if it was alive. But Zichen could see through the lightning that this was not a real dragon head, but half a stone sculpture. The stone sculpture's dragon head had its mouth wide open, and there was something inside that was emitting endless lightning. This was a round ball about the size of 2 fists, and it was wreaking havoc with thunder. Dragon Pearl. Seeing the round ball, Zichen naturally thought of the Dragon Pearl and cried out in surprise. The dazzling Dragon Pearl completely attracted Zichen's gaze. Although he didn't know what use this Dragon Pearl had, since it was a Dragon Pearl, it was naturally extraordinary. Suddenly, Zichen felt a sharp, cold electricity coming from the Dragon Pearl. This cold electricity fell on Zichen's body, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. The dragon head seemed to be alive, but it wasn't. Where was the old man who spoke just now? Just as Zichen was puzzled, his left and right eyes emitted light. Zichen activated his yin-yang eyes, and a strange power passed through the lightning and fell into the Dragon Pearl. There was indeed something inside the Dragon Pearl. After seeing what it was, Zichen almost jumped up. There was a baby inside the Dragon Pearl. The baby was very small, but its facial features were complete. Its large eyes were staring at Zichen, its eyes cold and its expression full of resentment. Seeing the baby open its eyes in the Dragon Pearl, Zichen felt a chill in his heart. The Dragon Pearl was giving birth to a baby. What was that? A dragon infant? Moreover, it hadn't even been born yet, but it clearly had thoughts of its own. Zichen was puzzled, but he didn't dare to take the initiative to step forward. A man and a dragon infant looked at each other, neither of them speaking. While Zichen was sizing up the dragon infant, he was also looking around out of the corner of his eye. Although there was thunder liquid essence in this grade 9 thunder territory, there wasn't much of it. It wasn't even grade 8. Regarding this, Zichen was slightly disappointed. However, just as his gaze fell below the dragon's head, his body trembled as if he had been struck by lightning. Below the dragon's mouth, a pool of water had formed. This pool of water was the lightning barrier. At this moment, the pool was 1 meter deep and about 20 cubic meters in size. The pool of water flashed with resplendent lightning, and the lightning was the light of the lightning liquid essence. Zichen was extremely shocked to see a pool of lightning liquid essence. However, what shocked him even more was that a drop of liquid dripped down from the dragon's mouth and landed in the pool, creating layers of ripples. The essence of this lightning liquid is actually dripping from a dragon's mouth. This is dragon saliva. Zichen was completely shocked. Zichen's expression fluctuated, and his gaze naturally left the dragon infant. Looking at the lightning essence, he was extremely excited. Suddenly, a cold voice sounded. "Junior, if you leave now, I, Thunderfreer, can still spare your life. If you don't retreat, today will be the day you die." This voice was still the old voice from before, but Zichen didn't see the old man in the grade 9 thunder territory. His gaze once again fell on the dragon infant, and the corner of his mouth curled into a sneer. "Little thing, you're still playing tricks with me." With that, Zichen took out the purple gold gourd and extended it towards the lightning barrier. From the lightning barrier, ripples of light rippled out, and the purple gold gourd was blocked. The lightning barrier was a layer of defense that blocked Zichen. During this time, the dragon infant had been looking at Zichen expressionlessly. Zichen was unwilling to give up. He used his spiritual sense to control the sword steel and attacked the lightning barrier. Streaks of sword chi shot out from the sword steel, carrying with them awe-inspiring sword intent, and landed on the lightning barrier. When the sword chi hit the lightning barrier trembled continuously, and clanging sounds rang out continuously. In the blink of an eye, dozens of sword chi dissipated, but there wasn't a trace of damage on the lightning barrier. How is this possible? The lightning barrier's super defense was really beyond Zi Chen's imagination, but he naturally couldn't give up. He used his spiritual sense again to call the sword steel and fiercely smashed it towards the lightning barrier again. Boom! Boom! In the thunder territory, there was another explosion as the sword steel smashed onto the lightning barrier with great force. During this time, Zi Chen's yin-yang eye had been staring at the dragon infant. The dragon infant's expression didn't change when it saw the sword chi attack the lightning barrier, but when it saw the sword steel smash on it, its expression changed slightly. In the blink of an eye, Zi Chen controlled the sword steel to smash it dozens of times. The lightning barrier began to shake, but there was no sign of it breaking. Zi Chen's recovered origin force was exhausted again, but it didn't leave any trace on the lightning barrier. Zi Chen's face was filled with unwillingness. The dragon infant's expression relaxed, and its cold voice sounded again. Junior, it's useless. This lightning barrier was released by this dragon head. It's impossible for external forces to break it. A cold light flashed in Zi Chen's yin-yang eye. He stared at the dragon infant and said, "Little guy, I hate your old and decrepit voice." The dragon infant snorted. "I've been in this world for thousands of years. How can a little guy like you know that? If you trace my real age and identity, I'm afraid even your ancestors can't catch up to me." Zi Chen's face turned green when he was called a little guy by the palm-sized dragon infant. He said angrily, "Little guy, you better not let me in. Otherwise, I'll smack your butt." Ignorant junior. The dragon infant rolled its small eyes in disdain. The angry Zi Chen's expression suddenly turned calm. He controlled the sword steel to smash again. This time the sound was louder, and even the entire lightning region was shaking. The dragon infant sneered. "Junior, it's useless to play tricks in front of me. Don't you just want to recover? I'll give you time to recover. Let's see if you can break this lightning barrier." Zi Chen didn't say a word and continued to smash. The lightning barrier was shaking, but there was no sign of it breaking. "Let me give you some good gifts." Suddenly, the dragon infant waved its small hand. A beam of light rushed out from the dragon pearl and landed in the lightning liquid pool below. A large amount of lightning liquid essence suddenly swept up and rushed out of the lightning barrier, sweeping towards Zi Chen. This time, the lightning liquid essence's power was even more terrifying. It was obvious that it wanted to kill Zi Chen in one fell swoop. Zi Chen's expression didn't change. The sword steel that was smashing instantly returned, forming the 9 extremes. The 9 sword steels constantly revolved to dissolve the powerful force. When the lightning liquid essence's power was almost dissolved, Zi Chen took out another sword steel and smashed it at the lightning liquid essence. After smashing it more than 10 times, the lightning liquid essence dispersed. Zi Chen took the opportunity to collect it. This time, because the dragon infant was prepared, Zi Chen only managed to collect a third of it. However, he only managed to collect a third of the dragon infant's attack. There was still a lot of thunder liquid essence in the entire thunder liquid pool. "Come again." With 8 sword steels protecting him, Zi Chen provoked the dragon infant. "Junior, you will regret it," the dragon infant said coldly. "I think you are the one who will regret it." Zi Chen sneered and continued smashing. "It's useless. Even if you smash it for 8 to 10 years, you won't be able to break it." The dragon infant simply closed its eyes. Then silver light flashed on its body as though it had begun cultivating. No matter how the outside world roared, it remained unmoved in the dragon pearl. Gradually, The dragon infant seemed to have entered a meditative state and no longer moved. However, Ziqin still didn't give up attacking. The sword steel smashed again and again, but to no avail. Even if it was a warrior of the Earth origin realm, I could still smash him to death if he stood still. Why can't I break this light shield? Ziqin could not understand. He controlled the sword steel to attack again. Suddenly, a dangerous aura attacked. It was another large wave of lightning liquid essence that charged at Ziqin. Ziqin sneered, "I've been waiting for you." The 9 sword steels returned to their positions again and blocked. After blocking, they smashed again. After smashing, Ziqin and the dragon infant fought again. The dragon infant, who had been cultivating with its eyes closed, opened its eyes. Its eyes were filled with anger as it shouted, "What a cunning junior!" Ziqin replied, "Little guy, don't take advantage of your seniority in front of me." The two of them went back and forth, not giving in to each other. At the same time, they schemed against each other. Of course, it was the dragon infant who schemed against Ziqin and attacked Ziqin. As for Ziqin, he would at most take some of the lightning liquid essence. "Little guy, I saw you in the dragon pearl. Are you really the dragon infant?" Ziqin asked doubtfully. "Junior, don't think you can get anything useful from me. I'm just asking casually. I can tell you're not the dragon infant with a single glance. Also, they all say that the things here fell from the lightning divine palace. I don't think so." Ziqin curled his lips. The dragon infant sneered and didn't reply. However, it was worth mentioning that when the dragon infant spoke to Ziqin, it didn't deliberately change its voice. Its original voice was very young, causing Ziqin to laugh at it for several days. In the outside world, the boundless sect's recruitment of servants was very popular. The mortals were in high spirits, but the cultivator families were all listless. After the incident with the Liu family, no one in the boundless sect recruited youths who had already embarked on the path of cultivation. There was no need to test, and they were directly given a quota. However, the various forces didn't look happy because these disciples would be branded as their own after entering the boundless sect. They would never become core disciples, and they would never hold any power in the boundless sect. A month passed quickly. In the lightning territory, Ziqin used the sword steel to attack the lightning barrier countless times, and the dragon infant also mocked him countless times. Knowing that Ziqin was extremely vigilant, the dragon infant no longer tried to attack him, because it would only make the lightning liquid essence less and less. After a month, Ziqin knew that his attacks were fruitless, so he simply gave up. He wanted to know something from the dragon infant. "Little guy, why can't I break through the lightning barrier, but your lightning liquid essence can enter and leave as it pleases?" The dragon infant sneered and replied, "Not only mine, but yours too. Why don't you try?" "Really?" Ziqin's face was full of disbelief. Then he took out a drop of lightning liquid essence and flicked it at the lightning barrier. Ripples appeared on the lightning barrier, and the lightning liquid essence flew out. Ziqin said, "I can't." The dragon infant's mocking expression became even more pronounced. "Junior, you're still trying to play tricks in front of me. Let me tell you, only the lightning liquid essence produced here can come and go as you please." Ziqin said, "Lightning liquid essence can, but what about other things? For example, this?" Ziqin took out a lightning crystal. The dragon infant looked at the lightning crystal and said coldly, "Don't throw in this trash. Only a junior like you, who hasn't seen the world, would take something like this." Ziqin's eyes lit up. "So you mean that this thing can go in?" "Of course," the dragon infant said. Ziqin suddenly stood up, and a powerful aura surged around his body. "Junior, what are you doing?" The dragon infant suddenly had a bad feeling. Chapter 994. Ziqin held the dragon soul spear and stabbed at the thunder light shield. A powerful force surged, and the thunder light shield began to tremble violently. This time, Ziqin clearly felt that it was only the thunder light shield that was trembling, not the entire Thunder territory. As expected, Zi Chen's eyes lit up. He had always used the sword steel to attack because he felt that the sword steel was the most powerful in this place, so he neglected the dragon's soul spear. But after hearing the dragon infant's words, Zi Chen realized that the Thunder Crystal and Thunder Soul Crystal essence used to forge the dragon soul spear came from here. This thing should have the same effect as the Thunder Liquid. The calm dragon infant's expression changed instantly. He stared at the dragon soul spear and exclaimed, You are! Zi Chen did not speak. He waved the dragon soul spear and stabbed again. The thunder light shield began to distort, and even the thunder liquid inside was trembling. Zi Chen clearly felt that the thunder light shield was shaking even more violently. After swallowing a thunder soul, the dragon soul spear had fallen into a state of slumber. Zi Chen's attacks were all based on his own strength, but at this moment the dragon soul spear suddenly woke up. A loud dragon roar resounded, and the dragon soul phantom appeared on the spear. After that, Zi Chen felt a strong force surge from the dragon soul spear. He did not need to control the dragon soul spear as it attacked the thunderlight shield on its own accord. It's actually you. Seeing the dragon soul phantom, the dragon infant's face was clearly filled with panic, and a sharp voice came out of his mouth. Roar! The dragon roar continued to resound louder and sharper. Zi Chen had already taken a few steps back and focused on defense. He could see that the dragon infant seemed to have a grudge with the dragon soul. At this moment, the dragon soul was activated and attacked on its own accord. Damn it, stop. The dragon infant's voice became sharper, and it was very young. That's a misunderstanding. No matter how the dragon infant shouted, the dragon soul did not intend to stop attacking. Its goal was very clear, and that was to break the thunderlight shield. Zi Chen was happy to see this, and he was already prepared. As long as the thunderlight shield was broken, he would immediately rush forward and collect all the thunder liquid essence. Ka! With a cracking sound, a crack suddenly appeared on the lightning barrier. The dragon infant's voice was even sharper and filled with panic. Enough! Do you want to kill me? If you break through here, I'll die. Damned brat, why aren't you stopping me? If you want the thunder liquid, I'll give it all to you. But you have to tell the dragon's soul to stop. The dragon infant became flustered and exasperated. Zi Chen stood aside and sneered, I still want the dragon balls. Longing was so angry that his entire body trembled. Brat, don't push your luck. Crack! The cracks on the lightning barrier spread, and as they spread it turned from 1 to 2. Longing said anxiously, Brat, I can give you this thunder liquid, all of it, but you have to make this dragon's soul stop. If you let him break through this thunder light barrier, you won't even be able to get a single drop of thunder liquid. Zi Chen sneered but didn't say anything. Damn it, I'm telling the truth this time. Longing shouted. During this time, Longing was also constantly controlling the thunder liquid essence to block the dragon soul's attack. However, this thing was effective against Zi Chen, but it was ineffective against the dragon soul. When the dragon soul attacked, there was no reaction at all. Zi Chen's eyes suddenly lit up. Dragon soul, cut open the thunder liquid essence. Hearing this, the dragon's soul seemed to have thought and slashed in the air. The thunder liquid essence instantly scattered on the ground, shining like pearls. Zi Chen quickly went forward to collect it. As usual, he collected 1/3 of it and returned the other 2/3. Damned brat, don't you want the lightning liquid? I'll fulfill your wish. I'll give you everything, but you must make the dragon's soul stop, the dragon infant said again. Then, rays of light streaked past, and even more lightning liquid essence rushed out. Zi Chen chuckled. I want the thunder liquid and the dragon head. Why don't you give me both? Longing's lungs were about to explode. Greedy brat, if the dragon head can go out, why would I stay here? Then there's nothing to talk about. Dragon soul, break it for me. Zi Chen's tone became cold. You will regret it. You will definitely regret it. Long Ying screamed. I think you're the one who will regret it. Dragon Soul, cut open all the thunder liquid essence for me. Zi-Chen didn't care. They had known each other for more than a month, and Zi-Chen had long been used to Long Ying's nonsense. Crack! The thunder light shield seemed to be broken, and all the thunder liquid essence that flew out lost its power in an instant, scattering and scattering on the ground. A shrill shriek was emitted from the dragon infant's mouth. Zi-Chen excitedly stepped forward, preparing to collect the endless lightning essence. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble. This time, it affected the entire thunder territory. Then, Zi-Chen saw that the thunder liquid essence that had just landed on the ground was retreating like the tide. During this time, the purple gold gourd in Zi-Chen's hand had clearly landed on it, but it couldn't collect the thunder liquid essence. In addition, Zi-Chen also felt that the surrounding lightning energy seemed to be moving rapidly. When he looked up with a puzzled face, his face changed. He saw that the dragon head in front of him seemed to be alive. A strong suction force came from the dragon mouth, and under this suction force, not only was the thunder liquid essence absorbed, but even the surrounding lightning was swallowed by the dragon mouth. In the dragon mouth, Long Ying was still struggling, screaming miserably. After the dragon soul's spear broke the thunder light shield, the dragon shadow that appeared on top of it coldly watched all of this. I said you will regret it. Long Ying's sharp voice still rang in Zi-Chen's ears. Zi-Chen was indeed regretting it, because he couldn't collect a single drop of the thunder liquid essence. Not only the thunder liquid essence, but the entire thunder territory seemed to be changing at this moment. Zi-Chen stared blankly ahead, unable to react effectively. He could only watch as the dragon mouth kept swallowing the surrounding lightning. As for the thunder liquid essence, it had been completely swallowed up long ago. Suddenly, Zi-Chen felt the pressure on him relax. A dazzling light fell from the sky. He subconsciously looked up and saw sunlight. This was the thunder territory. How could there be sunlight? When Zi-Chen woke up, he saw that this place had become an empty space. There was no more lightning around, and the thunder territory had completely disappeared. When Zi-Chen looked back again, he happened to see the dragon mouth swallow the last bolt of lightning. Then Zi-Chen saw the dragon mouth move, which was a sign that it was about to close. Just as the dragon mouth was about to close, the dragon pearl in the dragon mouth suddenly emitted a dazzling light. This light surged with an extremely terrifying aura. This aura made one's heart palpitate, and it made one's expression change. Even with the protection of the sword steel, Zi-Chen felt a chill in his heart. This light appeared from the dragon mouth and spread in all directions. Zi-Chen's expression changed drastically. His feet flashed, and he quickly dodged. Boom! Just as he retreated, there was an explosion in front of him. In this explosion, the surrounding space was shattered, and a big black hole appeared in front of him. The big hole lasted for a full 10 breaths of time before it slowly closed. Zi-Chen stared in front of him. On the 1-meter-long dragon head, the dragon mouth was completely closed. However, on the ground below the dragon mouth, there was something lying there. It was a little guy who looked to be about 2 or 3 years old. He was naked, and his skin was emitting lightning. At this moment, he was supporting himself on the ground with both hands and was looking up blankly. When he saw the dragon head, he immediately shouted in anger, "Ah, damn it, damn it!" This voice was very young, but the pronunciation was very clear. Zi-Chen curiously went forward and looked at the little guy from head to toe. The little guy was chubby. At this moment, his flustered and exasperated look looked very cute. As if he sensed someone, he immediately turned his head. It's you. Seeing Zi-Chen, the little guy looked like he had seen an enemy. His eyes immediately turned red, and then he rushed towards Zi-Chen. Swoosh! The little guy was very fast. Like a ray of light, he arrived in front of Zi-Chen in an instant. He reached out his little hand and was about to strangle Zi-Chen's neck. However, before his little hand could reach, a pair of big hands landed on his head. Slap! Zi-Chen slapped the little guy to the ground. You. The little guy was knocked down, and he glared at Zichen angrily. Zichen did not say anything. He went forward, grabbed the little guy, and then slapped his butt. Pa pa! The crisp sound continued to ring, and at the same time, the little guy's angry howls could be heard, until Zichen was tired of slapping, and the little guy was tired of screaming. The two of them stopped. Little guy, tell me, what's your name? Zichen asked. Junior. As soon as the little guy said these two words, Zichen raised his hand again and slapped him hard on the butt. The little fellow cried out, but the rest of the words couldn't come out of his mouth. Tell me, what's your name? Zichen asked. Thunder Freer. Seeing Zichen raise his hand again, the little guy hurriedly said, I haven't been born yet. How can I have a name? This time, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been born in advance. If you don't have a name, then I'll give you one. Zichen touched his chin and thought for a moment, then said, I'll call you Thunder Spirit from now on. The little guy did not speak, and it was unknown whether he agreed or disagreed. From now on, you will be Zichen's third disciple. You have a senior sister and a senior brother. Zichen said again. What? Unexpectedly, when the little guy heard this, he immediately jumped up and glared at him. You, a human, want to be my master. You don't deserve it. Ignoring Zichen's raised hand, the little guy's face was full of disdain, and he said, You're just in the human origin stage. How dare you be my master? What am I? A spirit born from the Dragon Ball. Under normal circumstances, when I was born, I was in the true spirit stage. Do you know what a true spirit is? You won't understand even if I tell you. It's the Earth origin stage for you humans. Zichen's heart trembled slightly. Being born in the Earth origin stage, he was really talented. Even if I was born in advance, as long as I become an adult, I will still be a true spirit. You are just a human who hasn't shed your mortal body. What qualifications do you have to be my master? Zichen responded to Thunder Spirit with a slap, because my fist is big. After another round of slapping, Zichen said, If you don't want to be my disciple, you have to beat me. Thunder Spirit said bitterly, There will be such a day. Zichen smiled coldly and said, Is that so? Then I'll wait for you. However, I have to tell you in advance that if you don't follow me and choose to leave by yourself, a mere primal core realm cultivator might never grow up. Chapter 995. Previously, the dragon head had emitted a lightning glow. However, after the lightning territory disappeared, the lightning glow on the dragon head was completely withdrawn. The lightning liquid within the lightning light barrier was completely devoured by the dragon head. However, Zichen could not find a single drop, no matter how he looked at it. Behind Zichen, the Thunder Spirit's expression changed. Zichen had hit his weak spot. He was born early and was only at the late stage of the inner core realm. If he rashly went out, he might be killed or used to refine weapons. During this time, he hadn't seen a single human. Zichen was the first, but Zichen was already so strong. He didn't dare to imagine if other humans were the same. His expression changed again and again. In the end, he decided to follow Zichen, not for anything else but to save his life. Zichen held the dragon head in his hand. It was very heavy, but it was nothing to Zichen. He tilted the dragon head, pointed the mouth of the dragon head to the ground, and shook it continuously. It's useless. All the lightning liquid has disappeared. No one can take it out, the Thunder Spirit said. Zichen turned to look at the Thunder Spirit and asked, Why? The Thunder Spirit said, The lightning liquid has reached the space inside the dragon head. If you want to take it out, you have to destroy the dragon head. But in this world, there seems to be no power that can do that. Zichen curled his lips and said, If it was that strong, it wouldn't have been cut. After saying that, Zichen put down the dragon head and used the dragon soul spear to attack the dragon head. But there was no reaction at all. Zichen's powerful attacks landed on the dragon head, but they couldn't even leave a white mark. Zi-Chin shook the spear in his hand and pointed it at the Thunder Spirit, saying, "My good disciple, you must have a way to open it." The Dragon Soul Spear had the aura of the Dragon Soul. The Thunder Spirit took a few steps back and said, "If I had a way, I wouldn't have been born early. If you want to open it, you have to form the Thunder Dominion again. But as far as I know, it will take a long time for the Thunder Dominion to form again." Zi-Chen withdrew the Dragon Soul Spear and asked, "What's the deal with the Dragon Soul?" When Thunder Spirit heard this, a bitter smile immediately appeared on his face. He said the creature that was really bred in the Dragon Ball was actually him. But something happened at that time. Before it was time to be born, it was forcibly separated from the Dragon Ball. Its vitality was greatly damaged, and only a trace of its soul was left. I was the second creature in the Dragon Ball, so it mistakenly thought that I was the one who expelled it. After that, the Thunder Spirit explained again, but Zi-Chin didn't understand at all. However, he finally knew that the Thunder Soul Crystal Soul he had obtained back then contained a trace of a true Dragon Soul. At that time, the Dragon Soul had luckily not died and sealed itself in the Thunder Crystal. Because it was too weak, the Dragon Soul was afraid that it would be devoured by the other Thunder Soul Crystal Essences. Before it went into hibernation, it distanced itself from the other Thunder Soul Crystal Essences. However, it needed to be nurtured by the 9 layers of lightning, so it couldn't leave. It stayed in the level 2 Thunder Dominion until Zi-Chin appeared. Now, it could also explain why Zi-Chin felt that there was a soul in the Thunder Soul Crystal Soul and that it could escape. Thunder Spirit seemed to know a lot. Zi-Chin didn't want to let it go just like that. He asked about the Thunder Divine Palace, but the latter's face was blank, indicating that it didn't know. Seeing Thunder Spirit's expression, Zi-Chin guessed that it had only been a few thousand years since it gave birth to a soul remembrance. "Forget it, come with me." Seeing that he couldn't get anything out of it, Zi-Chin decided to leave. "Go, where are we going?" asked Thunder Spirit. "Of course we're going back. Don't tell me you want to stay here and wait for someone to capture and refine you." Zi-Chin looked at Thunder Spirit. The latter's eyes were clearly filled with fear, and it quickly shook its head. Not long after the two left, experts arrived from the horizon. They were people from Cloud City. When they saw that the place that originally belonged to the Thunder Dominion was now empty, they all stared with wide eyes, as if they had seen a ghost. After that, news of the Thunder Dominion's sudden disappearance spread, becoming an unsolved mystery. Zi-Chin put away the dragon head and headed straight for the Boundless Sect with Thunder Spirit. However, when they were still 200 kilometers away from the Boundless Sect, Zi-Chin suddenly stopped and frowned. Beside him, Thunder Spirit also let out a cry of surprise. Thunder Spirit looked at Zi-Chin in surprise. "You also felt it." Zi-Chin slapped Thunder Spirit's head and said, "When you're talking to your master, you have to call him master." After saying this, Zi-Chin ignored Thunder Spirit, who was grimacing in pain, and began to descend. His senses are so sharp. Is he even human? Thunder Spirit scratched its head and also began to descend. The place where the two landed was a pile of rubble. It looked very ordinary, but after Zi-Chin landed, he and Thunder Spirit had already been standing there for a quarter of an hour. A group of cultivators flew over from the distance. When they saw the two of them, they flew over and yelled from afar, "What are you doing here?" Because the Boundless Sect was still expanding, there were often cultivators patrolling the area around the Boundless Sect. The group of cultivators descended and approached the two of them. When they saw one of the children, their expressions became slightly strange. At the same time, their gazes swept past Thunder Spirit and landed on Zi-Chin. Zi-Chin raised his head and looked at the group of cultivators. When they saw Zi-Chin's face, everyone was shocked. They hurriedly bowed and cried out, "Sect Master." Zi-Chin nodded and asked, "Has Elder Lu Peng returned from his trip?" Everyone was obviously confused. They were flying through the air, so they naturally didn't know what had happened to their elder. Zi-Chin then said, Go and call Elder Lupung over." Everyone nodded and was about to leave when Zichen said, "Wait, call the demon ape over as well." The group of cultivators flew through the air, heading straight for the Boundless sect. "You're actually the sect master." Thunder Spirit looked at Zichen with a strange expression. "What? Your master's combat strength is unparalleled. Shouldn't he be the sect master?" "Humph." Thunder Spirit's expression was disdainful. "What sect is this? Have I heard of it before?" "The Boundless sect." "What?" As soon as Zichen's voice fell, Thunder Spirit let out a cry of surprise. "The Boundless sect? Have you heard of it before?" Zichen looked at Thunder Spirit. "The Boundless sect, the Boundless sect," Thunder Spirit muttered. It seemed to be lost in its memories, but after a moment it shook its head and said, "It's a very familiar name, but I can't remember where I've heard it before." Zichen glanced at Thunder Spirit, but didn't say anything. "Zichen." After waiting for a moment, a voice came from the horizon, and two figures flew over. It was LV Peng and the demon ape. Lu Peng was an array master, so it was impossible to see anything from his outer appearance. He was directly ignored by the Thunder Spirit. The Thunder Spirit's eyes were fixed on the incoming devil ape. When the devil ape approached, the Thunder Spirit called out, "Sky-splitting battle ape." The two of them looked at Thunder Spirit in confusion. LV Peng smiled and asked, "Who is this little guy?" "Your illegitimate son." Zichen smiled and said, "My third disciple, Thunder Spirit. Come, greet your two martial uncles." Thunder Spirit snorted coldly and didn't greet the two of them. LV Peng didn't mind. He smiled and said, "Your three disciples are really strange." Thunder Spirit muttered, but didn't dare to refute. However, it was already thinking about how to deal with Zichen after it became an adult. At the same time, it secretly rejoiced that it had followed Zichen here, because among the humans it had met, there were already two who were a threat to it. Sense this place and see if there are any abnormalities. Zichen began to get down to business. Thunder Spirit curled its lips. It clearly didn't think a mere mortal would be able to sense this. LV Peng closed his eyes and released his spiritual sense, probing the surroundings. A moment later, he retracted his spiritual sense and opened his eyes. "How is it?" Zichen asked. LV Peng said, "The space is extremely unstable. It should be a small world. I guess it is a small world that is about to be born, but it will take some time before it can be born." Zichen nodded. He had the same guess as LV Peng. Thunder Spirit's eyes widened as it looked at LV Peng with disbelief. It said, "You aren't just randomly guessing, right?" LV Peng rubbed Thunder Spirit's head, not minding its rudeness. He said, "This isn't the first place. 500 miles to the south, I found the same fluctuations. I guess that there is also a small world that is about to be born." "Small world? How can there be so many small worlds here?" Thunder Spirit said. The three ignored it again. Zichen looked at LV Peng. LV Peng still had something to say. "I guess that the birth of these two small worlds should be related to our everlasting sect. After all, we cleaned up the formation left behind by the everlasting sect. These two small worlds might have been left behind by the everlasting sect, but we can't confirm it yet. We can only try to open them when their fluctuations are normal." Suddenly, LV Peng slapped himself on the head and said, "Right, the spirit devourer rat searched the land of savages once and repeatedly said that this land of savages was extremely extraordinary. When it returned for the last time, it seemed to have given Wang Qiong something." Zichen said, "Then let's go back and find Wang Qiong and ask what the spirit-devouring rat left behind." Demon Ape, who had been silent all this time, said, "You should go back. Someone has come to the sect. His strength is extraordinary. You must meet him." "Who?" Zichen asked. Demon Ape shook its head. "An old man I have never seen before, but he said he is from the everlasting sect." "What, Someone from the everlasting sect? Zi Chen's expression changed slightly. While they were talking, the four of them arrived at the everlasting sect. When the disciples guarding the gate saw Zi Chen come back with a child, they had a strange expression on their faces. However, when they saw that this child was only 2 or 3 years old and could already fly, they were even more shocked. When Lei Ling arrived at the everlasting sect, he released his spiritual sense. However, when he sensed that the people here were generally of low realms, he couldn't help but frown. Along the way, he met a core origin realm cultivator. When core origin realm cultivator saw Zi Chen, he said, respectfully, "Sect Master, the Vice Sect Master said that after you came back, you should go to the Everlasting Palace." Zi Chen nodded. Zi Chen asked LV Peng to take Lei Ling away, while he and Demon Ape went straight to the Everlasting Palace. As soon as they arrived outside the palace, Zi Chen heard hearty laughter coming from the palace. Some of the laughter belonged to an old man, but there was also an unfamiliar old voice. With doubts, Zi Chen and Demon Ape entered the Everlasting Palace. Seeing Zi Chen come in, Wang Qiong hurriedly stood up and said, "Zi Chen, let me introduce you." Chapter 996. Other than Wang Qiong and old Gui, there was another old man in the hall. As soon as Zi Chen walked in, the old man greeted Zi Chen warmly, but Zi Chen had no recollection of this old man. The old man was wearing a linen robe and had a white beard. Seeing Zi Chen's surprised and confused expression, he smiled and said, "It seems that Master Zi Chen has no recollection of this old man. The last time I saw you was over 200 years ago, when you had just stepped into the spirit origin stage. 200 years have passed, and Master Zi Chen has also become a master and stepped into the human origin stage." After that, the old man looked at the monster ape and said, "This little guy has also successfully broken through to the human origin stage." Zi Chen's mind was quickly thinking about the scene when he broke through the Zephyr Flight realm, wondering if he had seen such a powerhouse before. However, no matter how hard Zi Chen racked his brain, he could not think of when he had seen such a powerhouse when he was in the Zephyr Flight realm, nor did he have any interactions with such a powerhouse. The monster ape was also confused. Obviously, it had no recollection of this old man. The old man smiled but didn't say anything. He just looked at Zi Chen quietly. Suddenly, Zi Chen thought of something and shouted, "Senior, are you the one who broke the great defensive formation?" When Zi Chen was in the human origin stage, there was only one thing he couldn't understand. That was when he was in the Tsongli city, the powerful cultivators of the Tsongli family had activated the great defensive formation in order to kill him. At the critical moment, the great defensive formation suddenly broke, and Zi Chen successfully escaped. This was still an unsolved mystery to this day. When I saw Master Zi Chen in the Tsongli city that you could use a doppelganger, I was quite surprised. The old man smiled and said, Zi Chen didn't mention the Tsongli city, but the old man mentioned it now, so obviously he was from that year. Zi Chen, thank you for saving my life. Zi Chen heard the old man's words and hurriedly bowed. Don't, please don't. You are now the head of a sect. This old man doesn't dare to accept such a great gift. The old man hurriedly helped Zi Chen up. At the same time, he looked at Zi Chen and clicked his tongue. Back then, I only pointed a finger at you because you're from the Wuji sect. I didn't expect you to have such achievements after so many years. Senior, you flatter me. The devil ape was also relieved. Back then, the old man was in the dark, so it was not strange that they did not notice him. While they were talking, another person came in from outside the hall. It was also a white-haired old man. After he came in, he saw the old man beside Zi Chen and said, I was wondering who it was. So it's you, little guy. The newcomer was none other than Cauldron Spirit. Zi Chen had instructed LV Peng to summon Cauldron Spirit so that he could identify the newcomer. Old man Ming Qing looked at the old man with a hint of doubt in his eyes. Cauldron Spirit groaned and said, You little fella, you took away too many things back then. When old man Ming Qing heard that, his expression immediately changed. He cried out in surprise, "You are the Cauldron Spirit, Cauldron Spirit!" As expected of a member of the Boundless Sect. "You are indeed knowledgeable," Cauldron Spirit praised. At this moment, old man Ming Qing's identity had been revealed. He was the one who entered the ruins and took away the many resources and treasures of the Boundless Sect thousands of years ago. He was also a true member of the Boundless Sect. "So you saw everything back then. But why didn't you show yourself?" asked old man Ming Qing. "You were sneaking around back then. I stopped you after I showed myself." Cauldron Spirit's blunt words caused old man Ming Qing's face to turn awkward. Evidently, he was not very reliable back then. "May I know the purpose of your visit to the Boundless Sect this time, Senior?" asked Ziqin, after both parties became familiar with each other. Old man Ming Qing waved his hand and said, "Don't call me Senior. Before Senior Cauldron Spirit, I am nothing. Just call me Ming Qing." Ziqin pondered for a moment and said, "Just call me Old Man Ming. May I know the purpose of your visit to the Boundless Sect?" Old man Ming Qing smiled and said, "When I returned, I heard that the Boundless Sect was being rebuilt. After asking around, I learned that it was you, Ziqin, who founded it. I am, after all, a member of the Boundless Sect. Therefore, I intend to rely on you. May I know if Ziqin will take me in?" Ziqin was overjoyed when he heard that. He said, "This is Senior's home. Senior, you are returning home." Ziqin was very happy back then. "Good." Old man Ming Qing laughed heartily and said, "I am relieved to hear that. I have returned to contribute to the Boundless Sect. If there is anything that you need me for, Sect Master Ziqin, please do not hesitate to ask." Ziqin thought for a moment and asked, "Old man Ming, do you cultivate in the Yang attribute?" "Yes, I do, but I fear that it is not as authentic as yours." "Senior, you are being too polite. As a Xiantian expert, your cultivation technique has long been authentic." Ziqin's words caused a strange light to flash in old man Ming Qing's eyes. He had been restraining his aura, but he didn't expect that Ziqin would still be able to sense it. Now that the Boundless Sect is officially established, we still lack some core members. I wonder if Senior can take on the role of an elder and personally lead the Yang attribute? Ziqin asked. Old man Ming Qing asked in return, "You want me to lead the Yang attribute? Aren't you afraid that I will take it away?" "Old man Ming, you must be joking. We are all doing this for the Boundless Sect. Even if we take it away, it is still the Boundless Sect." The two looked at each other and laughed. Everything was understood without words. The two then discussed some details. After a while, Ziqin said, "Later, I will ask Lu Peng to refine an elder token." After that, Ziqin asked Wang Qiong, "Did the spirit-devouring rats leave something for you?" Wang Qiong suddenly understood and said, "Yes, there was something." "What is it?" "The coordinates of a few small worlds. Back then, the spirit-devouring rat side. Although there are no mines in this area, there are small worlds. Moreover, there are more resources in these small worlds than in the Bedlam lands. But back then, we were all in the Bedlam lands and didn't have time to care about these small worlds, so we didn't send anyone here." Ziqin nodded and said, "Good. When we have time, we will go and investigate these small worlds." Everyone left one after another. Ziqin was the only one left in the hall. Now, the Wuji sect already had 4 factions, which were Yin, Yang, Alchemy, and Formation. They still lacked the 3 major factions of Artifact, Sword, and Physique, as well as other smaller factions. It would be great if they all came back. Each of them would be in charge of a sect, and with the support of so many resources, the Boundless Sect would rise to prominence very soon. The Boundless Sect had just been established and still needed a long time to adjust. Ziqin was not in a hurry. He wanted to see his 3rd disciple first. The Thunder Spirit was a true living being. This kind of existence had surpassed the limits of humans. If it was successfully born, it would be at the Earth origin realm. Even if the Thunder Spirit was born early, it would still enter the Earth origin realm after reaching adulthood. Therefore, Zichen couldn't let this future Earth origin realm disciple leave suddenly. Halfway, Zichen saw LV Peng and asked where the Thunder Spirit went. LV Peng told him that it went to Ling Er's place. Zichen went to Ling Er's place. Although he was far away, he heard Ling Er's voice. She asked, "You too, do you know how to call me?" A young voice sounded, "Yes, Master's wife." Ling Er said with satisfaction, "Not bad. Jinfeng is the most sensible. Thunder Spirit, you didn't say anything. Did you forget? Master's wife will teach you more." The corner of Lei Ling's mouth twitched. This Ling Er was only in the Dan Essence realm, which was similar to his cultivation level. Previously, he was extremely unconvinced, but after the two of them fought, he was the one who lost. Moreover, this woman who wanted to become Madame Zichen was really tough. He was born prematurely, and his vitality was greatly damaged. He really didn't want to tangle with her. He bowed and said, "Immaturely, Master's wife." That's more like it. Remember, in the future, you too can call me that in front of others. But don't call me that in front of your master. He'll be embarrassed. Before Ling Er could finish, she saw that the two of them had strange expressions, and they both looked behind her. "Master, Master." Jinfeng was the first to speak, his voice trembling. The Thunder Spirit looked at Zichen and curled his lips, but didn't say anything. When Ling Er turned around and saw Zichen, her expression changed, but she quickly became strong again. "Why don't you make any sound when you walk?" Zichen coldly said. "You were too pleased with yourself and forgot your status. Naturally, you didn't hear someone behind you." Ling stuck out her tongue and didn't say anything else. Zichen then looked at Jinfeng and asked, "How is your cultivation going?" When it came to cultivation, Jinfeng raised his head and asked, "Master, I've been cultivating very hard, but why can't I form any true qi?" Zichen said, "Your talent is much higher than an ordinary person's." Without waiting for Zichen to finish, the Thunder Spirit laughed. What did you say? You're saying his talent is much higher than an ordinary person's? Haha, you must be joking. He's just a piece of trash with no talent at all. He can't even compare to an ordinary person. So how can you say his talent is high? Jinfeng's face immediately lost all color, and his body trembled. Zichen sent the Thunder Spirit flying with a slap and indifferently said, "What does a brat like you know?" Then Zichen looked at Jinfeng and said, "I have high expectations for you. What I'm going to teach you isn't a true qi cultivation method, but an extremely powerful body tempering method. On the path of cultivation, if you want to have high achievements, you must have a powerful physique. Once your physique is strong enough, I'll teach you the true qi cultivation method. But before that, I'll constantly check on you. As long as you don't meet my standards, I'll completely cripple your cultivation." Hearing that, Jinfeng's eyes lit up once more. He nodded heavily. "Don't worry, Master. I'll definitely work hard to cultivate." Many years later, Jinfeng, a body cultivator, suddenly rose to prominence. He was a youth without the slightest talent, but he had suppressed numerous monstrous geniuses and obtained his own glory. The Thunder Spirit ran back, but it didn't dare say anything. That was because Zichen's slap had been even stronger. He was clearly angry. Zichen looked at the Thunder Spirit and said, "Watch your senior apprentice brother carefully. Supervise his cultivation." The Thunder Spirit was dissatisfied, but it still nodded. Many years later, someone would ask Jinfeng how he could have such accomplishments without any cultivation talent. Jinfeng looked into the distance and thought for a long time before saying, "First, I have an amazing master. He gave me a chance to reach the heavens in a single step. Second, I have an amazing junior apprentice brother. His talent is extraordinary, and he broke through to the primal core realm at such a young age. His cultivation realm rapidly increases. Being with him always hurts my mental state. In order to give myself some dignity, I can only work hard to cultivate. Jinfeng's story was a story for another time. After Zichen arranged for Jinfeng and the Thunder Spirit, he had Ling, or lead the extreme Yin faction. Ling had a Purine body and was a Xiantian expert. Now that she was at the primal core realm, she already had the qualifications to take in a disciple. Thus, the everlasting sect's new disciples were screened over and over again. First was formation, then primal core, and finally yin and yang. Chapter 997. This time, Zichen chose the body and sword branches. His method was much simpler than the others. He placed the 9 sword steels and the stone wall he had obtained in the past in 10 different places, allowing the youths to sense them one by one. They only had mortal bodies, so the Xiantian techniques wouldn't harm them. After they calmed down and looked at the steels, Zichen would assign them to whichever branch they wanted. The 10 items were placed in 10 different directions, separated by 1,000 meters. Zichen stood at the center of the 10 items and released his spiritual sense to check the youth's expressions. Outside, there were a few people in the air. They were waiting for Zichen's orders to arrange for these youths. Sword branch. Zichen saw an illusory sword in one of the youth's consciousness and said indifferently. A person walked up and took the nervous youth away. The youth didn't know that his fate would change because of this. Even if he only had a little talent, with the resources Zichen had brought back, his future would be limitless. Body cultivation! Zichen's indifferent voice sounded again. The sword sect and the physical body sect were split into 2 factions. Only the talented youths of these 2 factions would receive special training. As for the others, they would be classified as ordinary physical body cultivators. Zichen had already decided that the Wuji sect's development would begin with physical body cultivators. He didn't expect the Wuji sect's disciples to have a strong understanding of the techniques after they left. He only hoped that the Wuji sect's disciples would have a strong physique. Zichen's strong physique had helped him survive countless dangers. After another round of selection, the remaining youths were classified as ordinary disciples. They would begin with body cultivators. During this time, Zichen called the Lu clan's patriarch over. After 2 hours of discussion, the Lu clan made a big decision. All of the Lu clan's experts with forging skills would return to the Wuji sect and establish the artifact branch. Now, the Wuji sect already had 7 major factions: sword, alchemy, yin, yang, artifact, physique, and formation. These were all carefully selected. The rest of the slightly ordinary young people were ordinary disciples. These disciples were taught by Wild Wolf, Black Wind, and the others. After the selection was completed, Zichen returned to his room. He didn't appear for 3 days and 3 nights. After 3 days, Zichen came out and took out a set of extremely simple but effective body tempering cultivation methods for young people. This was the first stage of the cultivation method, and all the youths started cultivating from this stage. At the same time, Zichen also took out a second set of body tempering cultivation methods. This was for the true energy boundary miners. Now, they no longer mined and focused on cultivation. After that, there would be a 3rd and 4th set of body tempering techniques, which would give spiritual source and core source respectively. At the same time, Zichen sternly warned that this cultivation method was not to be spread or traded. The entire Wuji sect was like a brand new machine. All aspects needed to be adjusted. Fortunately, the entire Wuji sect was a single entity, and there would be no disagreements. After some adjustment and friction, it would become a high-speed machine. Although the Wuji sect had already stored up an endless amount of resources, it couldn't support the daily consumption of hundreds of thousands of cultivators. As such, Zichen planned to follow the mission system of the Nimbus martial ancestor and use the method of earning contribution points to obtain resources. Half a month later, Zichen gathered a group of elders at the Wuji Palace. Elder Gui and Elder Ming were also present. In the Wuji sect, the sect master was the most powerful, so Ziqin sat at the head of the table. Below him were Elder Gue and Elder Ming. Behind them were Wang Qiong and Wu Lu, and then LV Peng and the others. The Wuji sect was very large, and Ziqin couldn't see everything. The elders of the various factions first talked about the recent developments. Ziqin was very satisfied when he heard this. He nodded and said, "Not bad." Then he glanced around and his gaze fell on Zhang Tong. "Zhang Tong." "Sect master." Zhang Tong stepped forward and bowed. Ziqin took out a jade bottle and sent some energy into it. The jade bottle floated forward. Zhang Tong took the jade bottle and asked curiously, "Sect master, this is," Ziqin said, "there are 50 drops of thunder liquid essence inside. Use it to purify the origin energy in your body and try to become a Khanate martial artist." Zhang Tong's eyes flashed. "Khanate martial artist." Ziqin nodded. "That's right. This is thunder liquid essence. It's a treasure among treasures." Elder Ming didn't answer, but the light in his eyes indicated that he wasn't calm. Zhang Tong thanked him again and again. He carefully took the bottle and put it away. "Wild Wolf," Ziqin said again. Wild Wolf stepped forward. Ziqin took out another jade bottle and said, 50 drops of thunder liquid essence. Try to transform." Wild Wolf nodded. The excitement in his eyes was indescribable. They were already in the late stage of the primal core realm. 50 drops of thunder liquid essence might not be enough to complete the transformation. After all, the stronger one was, the more impurities there would be in their body, and the more thunder liquid essence they would need to refine. Ziqin only gave out 2 bottles of thunder liquid essence. This made the others feel a little strange. Ziqin explained, "The Wuji sect has just been established and needs everyone to guard it. It's impossible for everyone to go into seclusion. After Zhang Tong and Wild Wolf successfully transform, you can go. However, only 2 people can enter seclusion at a time. As for the thunder liquid essence, I'll put it in the treasure pavilion. You can take it as you wish." The others nodded. Ming Qing's expression immediately changed. He was shocked. These people didn't know how precious the thunder liquid essence was. But it didn't mean that he didn't know. It was an extremely precious thing. Its value couldn't be measured in drops. However, from Ziqin's words, it was obvious that there was a lot of it. He actually wanted all the late-stage, primal core realm cultivators to transform. It should be known that they weren't transforming into normal sky realm cultivators, but Khanate martial artists. This kind of generosity shocked Ming Qing. After giving out the instructions, Ziqin looked at Wang Qiong and said, "During this time, don't participate in the Wuji sect's matters. Focus on cultivating in seclusion." Wang Qiong nodded. Right now, he was still at the late stage of primal core realm. It should be known that ever since he met Ziqin, his realm had always been higher than Ziqin's. However, this time, Ziqin had already broken through to the mortal core realm, while he hadn't reached peak primal core realm yet. "Wu Lu, I'm going to go out with the demon ape. You have to take care of the matters here and pay more attention." Wu Lu stood up and said, "Sect master, don't worry." After a simple explanation, everyone dispersed. Ziqin took the coordinates given by the spirit-devouring rat and left with the demon ape. Outside the Wuji sect, there were 2 places that seemed to be small worlds. The space was still unstable. The 2 went straight to the place the spirit-devouring rat had pointed out. When they reached the first place, Ziqin's perfect spiritual sense clearly sensed the abnormality in the space here. Then he forcefully broke open the space here. The space was broken open, and the 2 places were connected. Ziqin could clearly feel a kind of pressure from the power of laws. This is a small world with a level restriction. If you want to enter, you have to suppress your realm, the demon ape said. Ziqin nodded. He had already sensed that the requirement to enter this place was the spirit origin stage, which was the Zephyr stage. Ziqin did not step into the Zephyr stage. Instead, he released a powerful spiritual sense. This world suppressed one's realm, but it didn't affect the spiritual sense from the outside world at all. Under this spiritual sense, Zichun saw that there were many strange beasts here. These strange beast senses were very sharp. As Zichun's spiritual sense passed by, their eyes were filled with fear, and they prostrated themselves on the ground. Apart from the strange beasts, there were many ancient medicines that were more than 10,000 years old. There were also many resources. After a while, Zichun retracted his spiritual sense and said, "This place can be used as a training ground for spirit origin realm cultivators. There should be some kind of inheritance here." The small world closed again. Zichun and the demon ape left. The two of them had many inheritances and resources. Naturally, they didn't care about the things here, so they didn't enter. After that, they went to the second small world. It's still a level restriction. This time it's the true energy realm, the demon ape said after opening the small world. Zichun nodded and said, "Yes, let's go to the next place. Leave this place to Lupeng. Let him build a transmission array." Zichun was quite satisfied with these two small worlds. First, they were big enough. Second, there were enough resources. No one had set foot here for at least 10,000 years. There were 4 coordinates left by the spirit-devouring rats. Zichun opened them one by one and found that they all had a suppressive effect. 2 of them were flying realm. One was true energy realm, and one was core realm. This small world was relatively more dangerous. After Zichun and the devil ape probed it, they suppressed their cultivation level and entered it one after another. There were many core realm strange beasts in this small world. As soon as Zichun entered, he was surrounded by a pack of demon wolves. The demon ape stared at these wolves and said coldly, "Kill them or not?" Zichun shook his head and said, "This is a good place for training. Don't kill indiscriminately. We just need to see if there is anything that can threaten core realm cultivators." The 2 of them suppressed their realms, but they were still complete core realm cultivators. This realm was enough to kill a human core realm cultivator. So, after entering, the 2 of them were not afraid. They spread out to see if there were any abnormalities. During this time, the pack of wolves attacked Zichun. However, there was a golden light shield around him, and the wolves could not break through it. They chased after Zichun for more than 10 miles before leaving unwillingly. After that, Zichun saw another big bear. Not only was it unable to shake Zichun, but it was also sent flying after a single attack. The big bear's eyes were filled with shock, and it immediately retreated. Along the way, Zichun saw many resources. He sighed in his heart. As expected, there are many small worlds in this barbarian land. After discovering these 4 lesser realms, it could be said that the boundless sex resource problem had been solved. Zichun could arrange for missions to be held in these lesser realms, and all of the core essences could enter. Using the things they obtained from these lesser realms, they could exchange them for contribution points and other useful resources. This included the essence of the thunder liquid and the successive heaven technique. The 2 of them used more than 10 days to explore, but they did not even explore a third of this small world. During this time, they did not find any great danger, so they simply gave up. The coordinates of the 4 small worlds left behind by the spirit-devouring rats were very useful to the Wuji sect. After Zichun returned, he called LV Peng and had him arrange everything. At the same time, Zichun mobilized many experts to guard the entrance and exit of the small worlds. Then Wu Lu issued the mission. In the Wuji sect, the eyes of many cultivators lit up when they saw the mission reward, especially those in the true energy realm. It had to be known that their current realm was very low, and the yuan qi in their bodies was relatively small. 2 drops of thunder liquid essence might be able to transform them into Hotian realm cultivators. 10 drops of thunder liquid essence could let them become Xiantian realm cultivators. Therefore, in order to achieve this goal, they had to go to the small worlds and fight. LV Peng used 2 months to completely obtain the entrances and exits of the 4 small worlds. After that, a group of cultivators entered the small worlds one after another. After doing all this, LV Peng went into seclusion to refine the thunder liquid. The Wuji sect was gradually on the right track, so Zichen should also calm down and cultivate. The barbarian land fell into a short period of peace, but the chaotic land was not peaceful at all. The heavenly barbarian pavilion gave up many resources and mineral veins and did not come out, which puzzled them. Chapter 998. The heavenly barbarian pavilion's relocation caused an uproar, but no one paid much attention to the heavenly barbarian pavilion. What they were truly concerned about was how to distribute the resources left behind by the heavenly barbarian pavilion. As for the heavenly barbarian pavilion's strange actions of leaving the Bedlam lands and ancient beast world, they were only puzzled. But without the heavenly barbarian pavilion in the Bedlam lands, the 5 major powers would once again become the overlords, which was beneficial to them. The entire sky martial continent looked peaceful on the surface, but in reality, there were turbulent undercurrents. Almost all the powers were hoarding resources and nurturing talents in preparation for the upcoming war. But before that, the experts of the various powers in the continent were looking for the Lightning Divine Hall. The news of the Lightning Divine Hall's appearance had already spread throughout the entire sky martial continent in a short year, but only the major powers knew about it. While searching for the Lightning Divine Hall, they also began to mobilize the experts of their clans. The most obvious one was the ancient road of training, because there were many experts gathered there. Since the Lightning Divine Hall has appeared, the destination will be confirmed soon. At that time, it will definitely be a fierce battle. The experts of the 5 elements powers gathered together once again. At this time, they gave up on everything and put all their focus on the Lightning Divine Hall. The demon race has already invaded, and our goal has been achieved. Now it's time to retreat. That's right. Mobilize all the human origin realm experts and attack the Lightning Divine Hall. As for the demon race and the ancient road, let the ancient race deal with them. The 5 elements powers quickly came to a unanimous decision, and that was to withdraw all the human origin realm experts. Originally, they had to use the power of the rules to withdraw the human origin realm experts, which was very troublesome. But after the demon race's invasion, a loophole appeared in the rules, and everything became simple. After the discussion, the human origin realm experts of the various powers began to withdraw. When the ancient race heard the news, they were enraged. Damn it! Damn the 5 elements powers! They let the demon race in, and now they want to withdraw. Gu Xiuda's furious voice rang out. They lured the demon race here for the Lightning Divine Hall. Now that the Lightning Divine Hall has appeared, they naturally want to leave. Another elder also said angrily. Gu Xiuda sighed. Recently, many experts of the demon race have entered and occupied many ancient roads. Once the 5 elements forces withdraw, we will be in trouble. Then what should we do? Now that there's a problem with the rules, we can't teleport away. After pondering for a moment, he said decisively, Go, let everyone leave. Where are we going? Enter the ancient road and then find an opportunity to leave or head to the residences of other ancient clans. In any case, we can't stay here any longer. With that, Gu Xiuda stood up and walked outside. This is a transit point. The 5 elements forces and other forces are no longer resisting the devil race. The devil race can arrive here at any time. We must retreat as soon as possible. Gu Xiuda quickly gathered all the ancient tribe members in the area. The ancient tribe members gathered in the huge training field. Gu Xiuda announced loudly, Now, everyone is to enter the ancient road. If you are lucky enough to reach the gathering grounds of other ancient tribe members, you can stay there. If you can't reach there, you can take advantage of the spatial fluctuations and escape to the outside world. In short, we can't stay here any longer. Gu Xiuda's words caused an uproar. What? You can't stay any longer? Is the demon race going to attack? If they want to fight, then let's fight. We're not afraid of them. The people of the ancient race shouted loudly. They were not afraid of the devil race. The power of laws in this place has collapsed, and we can't teleport. We can only leave through the ancient path. Gu Xiaode didn't want to explain the reason to everyone because the aboriginals were prideful. If they found out that they were leaving because of the withdrawal of the Five Elements faction, everyone would think that they were relying on the Five Elements faction. One had to know that when the ancient race was strong, the Five Elements forces were nothing. Gu Xiaode, who did not explain, said firmly, "Now, quickly pack your things and leave this place." The ancient road of trials was very strange. Even if everyone stepped on the same path, they would appear in different places. The power of laws in the ancient road of trials would assign them to different paths according to their cultivation level. The ancient race members were very clear about this. Therefore, what followed was a wave of farewell. "All right, everyone hurry up and leave." Gu Xiaode, who clearly felt that something was wrong, shouted loudly. Boom! Suddenly, the entire world began to tremble, and the power of laws distorted. "Not good. Everyone hurry up and leave." Gu Xiaode's expression changed. Through some of the power of laws, he sensed that a large number of devil race members had arrived outside this world. The entire world trembled again, and a terrifying aura descended. Everyone's expression changed, and then they ran toward the exit path. Gu, who saw Gu from afar and shouted. Gu had been cultivating diligently recently, even though she had heard the news of Zi Chen's death. Zi Chen had told her not to believe anything unless she saw it with her own eyes. Gu, father, mother. Gu walked over. "Hurry up and leave. We can't stay here for long." Gu's father led the three of them toward the exit. During this period, the sky trembled continuously, and the power of laws distorted wildly. This power of laws had gone completely out of control and contained a destructive power within. Some ancient race members had already died when they accidentally touched it. Boom! Finally, a deafening sound rang out, and a huge hole was forcefully torn open in this world. A tall black figure stood outside the hole, looking down at the world below with his scarlet eyes. His eyes were filled with killing intent. "Children, kill. Kill to your heart's content." Noisy noises came from the black hole, and pitch-black, demonic chi swept down from the sky like a flood, filling the entire small world. Within this demonic chi, pairs of blood-red eyes that were like lanterns emitted a blood-red glow. They were filled with endless killing intent as they charged toward the ancient race members. "Kill!" Shouts rang out instantly, and the demonic chi flooded the entire world. The entire world turned black. Boom! A deafening sound rang out from the crowd, and the demonic chi within a radius of a few thousand meters was instantly evaporated, along with dozens of ancient race members. The battle had just begun, and an ancient race member had already self-destructed. However, the demonic chi that had just disappeared was quickly replenished, and the entire world turned black. As far as the eye could see, there was demonic chi everywhere, and ancient race members were everywhere. Just like the demonic ape's world engulfing demon, everyone's spiritual senses were completely suppressed. They could only see that there were ancient race members all around them, but they couldn't see what was happening outside. Die! Another shout rang out, and another ancient race member self-destructed. In this situation where they knew that they were going to die, all the ancient race members resolutely chose to unleash their full combat power, and that was to self-destruct their elemental core. Go! A powerful aura surged around Gu's father. He mobilized half of the origin energy in his body to form a light shield, protecting the three of them inside. Then, with a strong push, the three of them flew forward in the light shield. "Father! Father!" Gu and Gu shouted. Gu's mother also had tears in her eyes. They saw their father laughing and laughing. Many devils surrounded him, but after only one breath of time, an extremely powerful destructive energy appeared and the surrounding devils, along with their devil chi, all dissipated. The self-destruction continued. This was a feast of self-destruction, but also a feast of destruction. Before they could fly a few miles, the three of them were surrounded by many ancient race members. "Let's go." Gu-Hu's mother wiped away the tears on her face. Then, like Gu-Hu's father, she pushed the two of them away with great force. She also had a smile on her face, but it was a strange smile. Then, with a loud boom, her body exploded. A piercing light illuminated the demonic chi in the surroundings, dispelling it. Another group of dark demon people died. Gu-Yu and Gu-Hu screamed loudly, tears streaming down their faces. Even when the two of them self-destructed, they didn't manage to save Gu-Hu and Gu-Yu's lives. This was because there were too many ancient race members in this world. The two of them were once again surrounded. This time, there was madness in Gu-Hu's eyes. He shouted angrily, "Ancient race members, your lord who will fight it out with you." As he spoke, Gu-Hu was about to charge forward to kill the ancient race members, but he was stopped by Gu-Yu. "Little Hu, you go. I'll do it." Gu-Yu's voice was calm and firm. "Gu-Yu, you're crazy. I should be the one protecting you now," Gu-Hu said loudly. Gu-Yu shook her head and said, "Brother is dead. Father and mother are dead. Zi-Chen is also dead. You're the only family I have left in this world, so I hope you can live." Gu-Hu pushed Gu-Yu away. "I still hope you can live. Zi-Chen isn't dead yet. He'll come back for you." Gu-Yu smiled miserably and didn't answer. Instead, she charged toward the ancient race members. "Since you're fighting to die, I'll fulfill your wishes." A cold and eerie voice sounded. Then, an even more turbulent demonic chi engulfed the two of them. Boom! Boom! 2 explosions came from the demonic chi. Like 2 blinding lights, they spread out with destructive energy. Damn it! In the dispersing demonic chi, an ancient race member with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth appeared. Just now, he was almost destroyed by the explosion of the 2. If he hadn't dodged at the critical moment, he would have died. Kill! Kill everyone here! This was another feast of slaughter, a feast of the devil race. The entire slaughter lasted for 2 hours. After 2 hours, the devil chi that filled the sky dispersed. Many devil race members stood in the sky. The world that was originally full of vitality was now dead silent. There were less than 20 corpses on the ground. The other ancient race members had all self-destructed, leaving nothing behind. Damned ancient race. The ancient race members had obtained a complete victory, but they weren't happy at all. This was because the price they paid was several times or even more than 10 times that of the ancient race. Above the pitch-black hole, the devil ape stood. Sensing that there were no more living humans in this world, he said, "Children, pack up and head to the next world." The devil race experts left with many devils. Soon, new devils would come in and set up camp here, turning it into another devil race camp. In a distant land of savages, Zi-Chen, who was in seclusion, suddenly opened his eyes. He didn't know why, but he felt extremely uneasy today. He couldn't calm down and cultivate. Did something happen? Zi-Chen stood up and left his room. He began patrolling the boundless sect. After an hour, Zi-Chen didn't find anything out of the ordinary. However, he felt extremely uneasy. Helpless, he could only go check on the 2 small worlds to see if they had taken shape. Chapter 999. The restless Zi-Chen called over the demonic ape, and the 2 prepared to enter the small world to investigate. This small world had only just stabilized, and it took them quite a bit of effort to break it open. When the small world was broken open, a wave of method power surged out. The demonic ape frowned. It's a small world with a cultivation realm suppression. It's an inner core realm. This kind of small world was no longer of much use to the 2 of them, but it was definitely a good thing for the boundless sect. Zi-Chen nodded absent-mindedly. "What's wrong?" The demonic ape glanced at Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen shook his head and said, "I don't know. I just feel like something happened, and I'm a bit restless." The boundless sect. Zi-Chin shook his head again. No, I don't know where it is either. The entrance to the small world in front of the two closed. After knowing that it was an inner core realm, the two of them did not enter. The demonic ape said, "Cultivators rarely feel restless. For you to suddenly feel this way, something must have happened. However, your foundation is in the boundless sect, and this place is perfectly fine. What could have happened?" Zi-Chin and the demonic ape glanced at each other and simultaneously exclaimed, "The ancient road of the trial." Apart from the boundless sect, the people that Zi-Chin cared about were still on the ancient road of the trial. His four lovers were there, as well as Tyrant, Zhang Haotian, and Wang Shan. The demons appeared on the ancient road of the trial, and I suddenly felt restless. Could something have happened to them? Zi-Chin had a bad feeling. The demonic ape said, "Why don't we go back and take a look?" Zi-Chen's heartbeat sped up. After a moment's thought, he shook his head. There's no need to rush. After guessing that something had happened on the ancient road of the trial, Zi-Chen was no longer in the mood to investigate the second small world. So he returned with the demonic ape. The two of them returned to the boundless sect, and Zi-Chen had someone call Wang Qiong over. Wang Qiong was still in seclusion. When he was suddenly awakened, he thought that something had happened and quickly rushed to the main hall. Something happened. Wang Qiong looked at Zi-Chin, who was pacing back and forth in the main hall. "It's not a big deal. It's just that I need to leave for a while. There are some things I need to arrange for you." Wang Qiong didn't ask where Zi-Chin was going. A light flashed in Zi-Chen's hand, and the mortal yuan fruit appeared. "This is the mortal yuan fruit that I obtained. One fruit will allow you to break through to the mortal yuan realm, but don't be in a hurry to refine it. First, raise your yuan qi to the Xiantian realm. Then raise your spiritual sense and physical strength to the limit. Only then can you refine this fruit." When Wang Qiong saw the mortal essence fruit, a strange expression flashed on his face. However, he did not decline and directly accepted it. There was no need for pleasantries between the two of them. "I'm going to take the sword steel away. You'll have to take care of things here. I've left behind many resources in the treasury. There's quite a bit of thunder liquid essence. Have LV Peng and the others refine it as they please until their yuan qi transforms. Oh, right, it's impossible for a true element realm cultivator to refine an entire drop of thunder liquid essence. Have Qin Xing and Qin he think of a way to dilute the thunder liquid essence. Also, this time we've recruited youths. They have to be diligent in raising them. I'll come up with a cultivation method as soon as possible." Zi-Chen instructed. Wang Qiong quietly listened, then nodded his head. After finishing his instructions, Zi-Chen returned to his room and began to list out the cultivation methods that the youths would need to practice in the future. After knowing where the problem was, Zi-Chen's heart calmed down, and his speed in dealing with matters became even faster. After 7 days and 7 nights, Zi-Chen once again walked out and handed over the cultivation method to Wang Qiong. "You've really decided to go alone and not bring the devil ape?" Wang Qiong asked after receiving the cultivation method. Zi-Chen shook his head. "This place needs to be guarded by experts, and the devil ape is extremely suitable. The major powers haven't sent anyone over yet. Their attention should be attracted by the lightning divine palace. However, we can't be certain. If something happens, we should focus on defense." After giving out some more instructions, Zi-Chen left. This time, he went to Ling, or his residence. Chen Feng and Lei Ling were both young fellows, and were currently together with Ling. I was taking care of the two of them. When Zi-Chen arrived, Ling wasn't there. Chen Feng was practicing a fist technique that Zi-Chen had specially designed for him, allowing him to increase his strength through practicing. "Master." Seeing Zi-Chen's arrival, Chen Feng was still a little nervous. On the other hand, Lei Ling, who was lying on the side, lazily glanced at Zi-Chen, then closed his eyes once again. Zi-Chen nodded towards Chen Feng, then glanced at Lei Ling. A strange light flashed through his eyes. After not seeing him for a few months, Lei Ling's strength had increased again. Furthermore, he looked like he was 4 or 5 years old. "Why aren't you watching your senior brother cultivate? What are you doing lying there?" Zichen asked with a sullen face. Lei Ling stood up, stretched his body, and said with dissatisfaction, "I'm using my spiritual sense to watch." Hearing that, Qin Feng's face immediately turned red. This junior brother of his was really too strong. He could kill 1,000 of him with a single finger. "Humph," Zichen coldly snorted. Lei Ling didn't care, but he didn't want to anger Zichen. At this moment, Zichen's voice rang out in his mind. Lei Ling looked at Zichen with surprise, then looked at Qin Feng. At this moment, he finally understood why Zichen wanted to take this trash as a disciple. "I know." Lei Ling seriously nodded. "Cultivate well." Zichen rubbed Qin Feng's head and said warmly, then turned and left. This was the first time Qin Feng heard Zichen speak so warmly. He was moved to tears. Lei Ling curled his lips. Then a mischievous smile appeared on his face. He said to Zichen, "Since you're leaving, aren't you going to say goodbye to my master's wife and give her a goodbye kiss?" In the distance, Zichen, who had just soared into the sky, staggered and almost fell. He turned and fiercely glared at Lei Ling, then turned and left. Lei Ling's childish laughter rang out. After explaining everything, Zichen left. When he was out of the Wuji sect, he took out the token given to him by the ancient family. However, after he sent his power into the token, there was no reaction. How can this be? Zichen was puzzled. He then took out the ancient token given to him by the Jin family. However, it was still useless. The 2 tokens seemed to have lost their effect. Could it be because I'm in the savage land and am too far away from the ancient road? Zichen frowned and flew towards the teleportation array at top speed. Then he stepped onto the teleportation array and arrived at the chaotic land. When he arrived, the situation was the same. Zichen's expression changed. He secretly thought that there was indeed a problem with the ancient road. Zichen didn't stop at the outskirts of the chaotic land. He went straight to the nearest market. Along the way, he displayed his true speed. In less than half a day, he arrived at the nearest market. Because the Heavenly Brute Pavilion had left many resources and mines in the outskirts, many forces wanted a share of the profits. This caused the nearest market to be extremely lively. After Zichen arrived at the market, he went straight to the teleportation array. However, the teleportation array kept flashing and many cultivators appeared. This seemed to be never-ending. Zichen frowned. Beside him, there were many people waiting to step onto the teleportation array. They had also waited for a long time. They looked anxious but didn't dare to speak. The cultivators who came out of the teleportation array were obviously from the same force. They looked at the others with mocking expressions. Zichen finally lost his patience. His aura surged and swept towards the teleportation array. At the same time, he shouted, "Go back!" The cultivators who had just been teleported out were sucked in by a huge force and disappeared immediately. This scene shocked the others. Even the cultivators who had mocked him earlier widened their eyes and didn't dare to say anything. The aura emanating from Zichen's body struck fear into their hearts. Under the suppression of the aura, no one else appeared in the teleportation array. Zichen strode forward and stepped onto the teleportation array. He said indifferently, "Send me to Central City." Beside him, the cultivators guarding the teleportation array stepped forward and tapped on the teleportation array. Zichen's figure disappeared. What a terrifying aura. It's even stronger than someone who has attained the primal core realm. He must be a strong person in the mortal origin realm. That's Zichen, the leader of the Heavenly Brute Pavilion, Zichen. After Zichen left, there were discussions all around. Some people recognized Zichen. Zichen, didn't he bring the Heavenly Brute Pavilion back to the barbarian land? Why is he here? After knowing Zichen's identity, The crowd was puzzled. While the crowd was discussing Zichin, in Central City, the Wei clan cultivators surrounded the teleportation array as if they were facing a great enemy. This was because the cultivators on their side had been sent back by a huge force. With a flash of light, Zichin appeared. When he saw the elixir essences around him, he frowned. "Zichin, you're Zichin!" Someone exclaimed. As an overlord, many of them recognized Zichin. After seeing Zichin, they no longer had the will to fight and retreated. However, Zichin thought that they were too slow. With a wave of his sleeve, the elixir essences were immediately thrown away. Zichin walked past the crowd and headed out of the city. News of Zichin's arrival spread quickly. However, by the time the 5 clan leaders arrived, Zichin had already left. Zichin is in a hurry. Where is he going? The 5 clan leaders were puzzled and sent someone to find out. Soon, a cultivator found out where Zichin had gone and returned to report. What? Zichin went to the ancient beast world. When the crowd heard this, they cried out in alarm, greatly confused. The heavenly barbarian pavilion had already left the ancient beast world and the chaotic lands. As the pavilion leader, why would Zichin come to the ancient beast world alone? Could it be that we're going to war with the monster clan? All the clan heads started to fantasize. However, this was obviously unrealistic. If he really wanted to start a war, he wouldn't have waited until now. Everyone didn't understand, but they didn't dare to send people to investigate because there were no more humans in the ancient beast world. It was the world of the demons. Zichin arrived at the ancient beast world and headed straight for the ancient road to the ancient trial. Human, there's a human here. Kill the human. Along the way, Zichin encountered many demons. When they saw Zichin, their eyes were filled with murderous intent. They all charged at Zichin. However, they retreated even faster. Although they had suppressed their strength, the berserk aura of the great perfection Zichin still caused the expressions of the monster clan to change. Under this berserk aura, the monster clan was either injured or killed. Zichin headed straight for the depths. Wherever he went, no demons dared to stop him. 2 days later, Zichin arrived at the ancient road. There were powerful demons guarding here. However, in front of Zichin, these so-called powerful demons were nothing, even if they were Dragonians. Chapter 1000. Zichin stood in front of the passageway. The passageway was tightly shut. Zichin tried to sense the passageway with his yuan qi, but he couldn't find any loopholes. Something had happened to the ancient road, but the passageway still opened every 9 years. This made Zichin extremely disappointed. Around him, there were demons with shocked faces. Just now, Zichin had injured the Dragon Man, so they didn't dare to act rashly. They stood at a distance and were on guard. Seeing that his probing was fruitless, Zichin's gaze landed on the injured Dragonborn. "What are you doing?" Facing Zichin's cold eyes, the Dragonman's heart couldn't help but tremble. "Take me to the teleportation portal," Zichin said. "Teleportation portal." The Dragon Man was confused. "The teleportation portal to the demon city," Zichin repeated in a cold tone. "Demons, you want to go to the demon city." The Dragon Man shouted. Zichin glanced at the Dragon Man indifferently. The Dragonman's heart trembled, but he didn't say anything. He led Zichin away to the demon city. His face was calm, but his heart was filled with ecstasy. Once he entered the monster city, the arrogant human would be torn into pieces by the monster cultivators. There were many human origin stage cultivators in the monster city. It would be easy for them to kill a Dan origin stage cultivator. Around the teleportation array of the monster city, the other monster clans had already received the news. Many monster clans had gathered around the teleportation array. The 3 leaders of the monster clans were all in the human origin stage. They were well prepared to kill any human who dared to enter the city. With a flash of light, 2 figures appeared in the teleportation portal. "It's him! Catch him!" The Dragon Man shouted as soon as he appeared. At the same time, he turned into a phantom and rushed out of the portal. Zichen didn't stop him. His expression was calm. How dare you come to the demon city and cause trouble? You're courting death. Die. Cold voices came from all around. However, only the voices could be heard. No demons made a move. Furthermore, after each person uttered a sentence, no one could hear a second sentence. The surroundings suddenly became deathly silent. A group of demons against a single human, but they felt a sense of oppression in their hearts. It's you, Zichen. After a moment of silence, one of the leaders of the demon clan exclaimed, Zichen, it's Zichen. Two more whispers came from the side. As human origin stage warriors, they were the guards of the demon city. Of course, they had met Zichen a year ago and had a deep impression of Zichen. Therefore, they recognized him at first glance. What? He's Zichen? He's the human Zichen who attacked us in Demon City. Zichen was obviously very famous in the Demon City. At this moment, cries of surprise could be heard from all around. The Dragonians who had brought Zichen here had turned even paler. I want to see Yuan Bao. Zichen's gaze swept around before finally landing on the three leaders of the demon clan. The three of them were stunned and then bitterly smiled. Yuan Bao was an Earth origin stage cultivator. Not everyone could meet him. At least, the three of them couldn't. If it were any other human who mentioned Yuan Bao's name, they would have been enraged. However, Yuan Bao had personally sent Zichen off when he left. The three of them looked at each other. One of them said, Wait a moment, we'll pass on your message. After the demons left, Zichen stood on the teleportation array. Zichen was obviously anxious when the demons still hadn't returned. Another demon explained, Let's wait a little longer. Master Yuan Bao is a noble figure. We can't just meet him like that. Zichen nodded. A distinguished guest is here. You bastards didn't receive him properly and let him stand here. A loud shout came from afar as a tall figure approached. Leader Yuan Lin. It was Yuan Lin. The other demons bowed to him. Zichen, why are you here? Yuan Lin went straight to Zichen. I'm looking for Senior Yuan Bao, Zichen said. This isn't the place to talk. Come with me to the tavern. Yuan Lin pulled Zichen away and explained, Senior Yuan Bao isn't here. I've sent someone to inform him when I heard you were here, but it'll take some time. Zichen nodded, and there was a worried expression between his brows. What's wrong? It's urgent. I want to go to the ancient road. Can you help me? Zichen asked. What? The ancient road? Didn't you just come from there? Why do you want to go there? Yuan Lin was confused. It's a long story. Can you help me? Zichen asked again. Yuan Lin shook his head and said, I can't, but you can ask Yuan Long. Maybe he can. Yuan Long, Zichen remembered him. He had a special power, but his realm wasn't high. Yuan Lin explained, Yuan Long has a high status in the demon race. He might know how to enter the ancient road. The two went to the tavern. Yuan Lin ordered food and wine while waiting for Yuan Long to arrive. After a pot of wine, Yuan Long appeared outside the tavern. He was wearing a blue robe and looked like a human. He saw the two of them as soon as he entered the tavern. He nodded slightly and walked over. Zichen, long time no see, Yuan Long greeted. Zichen nodded. Yes, it's been a long time. Yuan Lin poured wine for Yuan Long. Yuan Long asked, You came so suddenly. You must have something to do. Zichen looked at Yuan Long and said, I want to enter the ancient road again. Can you help me? The ape dragon's indifferent face changed, and the expression on his face became strange. Everyone is hiding in that damned place now. It's too late to leave even if you want to, and you're still here. What happened? Zichen asked. You still don't know. Oh, right. Yuan Long explained. Now that the lightning divine hall has appeared, all the powers in the martial sky continent are focused on it. As for the ancient road and the demon race, no one is paying attention to them. It's fine if they don't pay attention, but the various powers actually called back all their experts from the ancient road. What? Zi Chen's expression changed. He raged. They attracted the demon race, but now they're taking the initiative to withdraw. Yuan Lin was clearly shocked by this news. So many powers had withdrawn. That meant they had completely abandoned the ancient road for the Lightning Divine Hall. Yuan Long shrugged. I also just heard the news. In any case, everyone wants to leave the ancient road. No one is willing to enter. What about the ancient races? Did they also withdraw? Zichen asked again. Yuan Long shook his head. Almost all the powers belonging to the ancient races are on the ancient road. They naturally can't withdraw. Now that the demon race is invading, the major powers are avoiding them. The ones truly resisting the demon race are the ancient races. When Zichen heard this, he could not say a word. Yuan Long knew that Zichen's relationship with the ancient races wasn't shallow. The ancient races have deep foundations. They're not any weaker than the major powers. Furthermore, they can use the power of laws. It won't be easy for the demon race to take advantage of them. Chen didn't know what to say. He could only nod, but his expression was changing. Do you still want to enter the ancient road? Yuan Long asked. Chen firmly nodded. Yuan Long shouted, You're crazy. You're just throwing your life away. Chen said, My friends are all inside. I'm afraid something will happen to them. The ancient road is so big. There are countless small worlds inside. How will you find them? Even if I can't find them, I still have to. Chen was determined. Yuan Long sighed helplessly. Fine, up to you. However, I don't have any other way. Wait for Yuan Bao. As an Earth Yuan expert, he should have a way to send you into the ancient road. Thank you very much. No need to be so polite. Come, let's drink. The three of them raised their cups. After a day, Yuan Bao returned after receiving the news. As soon as he returned, he went to Yuan Long's residence because Zichen was there. Little friend Zichen, there's an emergency. Yuan Bao descended from the sky, looking travel-worn. Zichen said directly, I want to enter the ancient road. The ancient road. Yuan Bao looked at Zichen, then at Yuan Long and Yuan Lin. He didn't tell you about the current situation of the ancient road. He did. Yuan Bao frowned and stopped persuading. After a while he said, Then when are you going in? As soon as possible. Yuan Bao nodded in the end. All right then, follow me. Where to? The ancient beast world. Yuan Long and Yuan Lin also followed Zichen. They said they wanted to send Zichen off. Yuan Bao, did you guys find anything in the Thunder God Palace? On the way, Yuan Long asked. Small gains. What do you mean? We've found the approximate location of the Thunder God Palace. Now we just need to wait. I believe there will be results soon. Yuan Long was shocked. Doesn't that mean there's going to be a great war? A great battle is inevitable, and it will be an unprecedented one. After so many years, the various forces have already accumulated enough experts. I'm sure they will do their best for this battle to become a god. Chen's expression didn't change. This was a matter of the entire Tianmu continent. It had nothing to do with him, a mere human origin realm cultivator. He couldn't reprimand these forces for not caring about the demons and their own interests. All he had to do was find friends and protect this barbarian land. That was all. After the four of them suppressed their realms, they entered the ancient beast world. Along the way, no one stopped them when they encountered the demons. The four of them reached the passage. Yuan Bao pointed at it and said, The power of laws here is already unstable. I can forcibly open it for you, but I can't guarantee that there won't be chaos inside. Senior, you just need to open it, said Zichen. That's good. Yuan Bao nodded. He stretched out his hand and pointed forward. That finger was glowing with a resplendent light. When Zichen saw that light, his expression changed, and he whispered, Cosmic energy! Yuan Bao condensed the power of laws in his hand. The Earth origin realm has already surpassed the human origin realm. I've started to comprehend the laws and try to control them. Yuan Bao laughed. Unfortunately, I've been in the Earth origin realm for so long, but I can only use this little bit of the power of laws. With that, the power of laws landed in front of them. The void trembled, and a passage slowly appeared. Zichen looked at Yuan Bao gratefully, then at the other two. Take care. Yuan Long and Yuan Lin said. Zichen nodded and walked into the passage. The moment he entered, the passage disappeared. Yuan Bao sighed. Let's go back. The ape dragon asked cautiously, Will he die? Yuan Bao shook his head, indicating that he didn't know. Chapter 1001. As soon as Zichen appeared on the teleportation platform of the starting ground, he heard the sound of energy exploding. You damned demons, go to hell. Then a cold and excited voice sounded. The entire square was shrouded by an energy barrier that contained the power of laws. The battle was taking place at the edge of the square. The one fighting was a beautiful woman. She held a large saber in her hand. She was fighting 1 against 2, but she was not at a disadvantage. Not far from the woman, the cripple was sitting there, watching the woman fight the demons. The woman was undoubtedly Sua Fei. The old man was nowhere to be seen. Only 2 of the 3 were left. However, there were other people in the square besides the 2 of them. 3 of them were in the human origin realm. At this moment, 2 of the 3 were opening a passage. The other one said to the Trial Core Realm cultivator, What are you looking at? Go in. Zichen saw the Trial Core Realm cultivator, and his expression changed. He subconsciously took a few steps back and looked at the battle not far away. The human origin realm cultivator said again, Once you enter, there is no way out. Either you die here or on the ancient road. The other core realm cultivators also changed their expressions. However, they looked at the demons and then at the black mass of demon chi outside the shield. In the end, they gritted their teeth and entered the ancient road. Zichen sensed that the 3 of them were opening the 9th grade ancient road. More than 10 core realm cultivators left one after another. When they were about to close the passage, they suddenly saw Zichen. One of them said in surprise, Hey, there is another one. Come here quickly. Hearing this, Zichen got off the teleportation array and walked forward. Go in quickly, the human origin realm cultivator urged. Zichen didn't go in. Instead, he looked at the battle in front of him and asked in a low voice, How long have they been here? Zichen's voice was calm. There was no panic or worry. The human origin realm cultivator was startled and looked at Zichen in surprise. They didn't understand where this little core realm cultivator got his confidence from. Hearing the familiar voice, the cripple's body trembled. He couldn't help but turn around. When he saw Zichen, his face was filled with surprise and joy. Zichen, it's you. Zichen looked at Cripple and nodded. Cripple laughed and said, Quickly close the passage. He doesn't need to go in. Don't let him in by mistake. Hearing this, the 3 of them closed the passageway. They still looked at Zichen with puzzled gazes. However, when they heard Zichen's name, they felt that it was somewhat familiar. He is Zichen, the Zichen who killed a spirit. Cripple's emphasis caused the 3 of them to come to a sudden realization, and shock appeared in their eyes. Zichen's story had already spread among the body cultivators. The fact that he had killed a human origin spiritual body when he was only at the late stage of the core realm was exclusive to the body cultivators. At this moment, seeing Zichen's true body appear, even if the other party was only at the Dan essence level, his battle prowess could not be underestimated. You really are Zichen. The 3 of them suddenly became excited. How could it be fake? Cripple didn't wait for Zichen to reply and laughed. During this time, Cripple had been sitting on the ground and hadn't gotten up. Zichen took the initiative to approach him. When he saw Cripple, Zichen's expression changed. He stared at Cripple's legs in a daze. Hyun, both of them are gone. Cripple chuckled. His smile was filled with bitterness and loneliness. "Even a treasure pill can't cure them?" Zichen asked. Cripples said they already have hidden injuries. Together with the corrosion of the rule power, nothing can cure them. Hee. But as long as I successfully enter the Earth origin realm, everything will automatically recover. Zichen nodded, but didn't know what to say to comfort him. This is already very good. Thinking back to that day when I was cut into several pieces by the rule power and pieced back together, I'm already very happy that I can still breathe. Cripple's expression immediately became gloomy. Unfortunately, that old guy didn't succeed. Zichen naturally knew who that old guy was. His mouth moved, but he didn't say anything. Sophie is in danger just by chatting with you. You should quickly go and help her. Cripple pouted and looked at Sophie, who was fighting not far away. Okay, I'll go and replace her. Zichen nodded. His figure flashed, and he appeared beside Sophie. Sophie slashed out with her blade, and the light from the blade forced the two demons back. She also took 2 steps back and said loudly, "Zichen, welcome back to the starting ground. At the same time, congratulations on being alive. I'll leave this place to you." After Sophie put away her blade, she glanced at Zichen. After coming here again, Zichen discovered that both Sophie and Cripple had changed. Zichen couldn't explain this change. It should be a kind of indifference. Since they didn't fear death, they naturally didn't fear Zichen and spoke more casually. Sophie retreated, and Zichen stepped forward. He looked at the 2 demons from head to toe. The 2 demons didn't look much different from the devil ape. Their bodies were surrounded by a pitch-black devil chi, and their eyes were blood-red. However, they had 2 horns on their heads, and the horns were surging with powerful energy. Human Dai, sensing the aura of Jinden essence surging from Zichen's body, the demon's expressions immediately became disdainful. One of them flashed and rushed toward Zichen. In the process, he swung his palm at Zichen. The terrifying palm print caused the space to tremble, and a surge of powerful energy surged. The demon was confident that this palm print could kill this human. Zichen stood motionless, quietly watching the palm print approach. In the distance, several human origin realm cultivators were looking in his direction. As the palm print approached, the wind blew his black hair and stung his cheeks. Seeing that the attack was almost within reach, the demon revealed a sinister smile. At this moment, Zichen also moved. He also swung his palm print and slapped out. The small palm print collided with the opponent's huge palm print, causing a loud explosion. The void trembled, and a ripple of energy spread out. Zichen stood in his original position, motionless. On the other hand, the demon was sent flying until he smashed into the light barrier again. During this time, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. The powerful force penetrated the palm print and directly shattered one of the demon's arms. The other demon's expression of disdain froze, then turned into shock and horror. In terms of physique, the demons were much stronger than humans. However, in the attack just now, the demon had suffered a great loss. Damn it, this is a genius among humans. The demon quickly realized. Although the demons were powerful, there were also powerful cultivators among humans. Once they appeared, they were all very, very powerful, enough to make the demons wary. Demon swallows the world. A roar came from the demon's mouth. His body was surrounded by a surge of dark, demonic chi. This demonic chi rolled and quickly filled the surroundings. Not only did it cover Zichen, but it also covered Sophie and the others. If it was any other time, Sophie and the others would naturally retreat. This was because the demon swallows the world was extraordinary and could suppress spiritual thoughts. However, Zichen was right in front of them, so they were not afraid. The devil swallows the heavens, and the devil chi surged. The devil clan thought that humans could not see them, and their spiritual sense could not detect them. With a flash, they quietly appeared behind Zichen. On the other side, The demon who had just been pushed back stood up again and attacked Zichen. The two of them, one in front and one behind, were ready to pincer attack. One of them attacked forcefully, while the other sneakily attacked. Of course, the plan was good, but unfortunately they met Zichen. Zichen did not even need to use his yin-yang eyes. His perfect spiritual thoughts had already detected the two demons. Then, Zichen clenched his fist and punched forward. Boom! The powerful force landed on the demon like a flood. The demon could not muster any strength, let alone counterattack. At this moment, even defense became difficult. The powerful force entered the demon's body, and his expression began to distort. The power in his body became extremely unstable, and finally he exploded. A powerful wave of energy appeared and turned into a storm, sweeping in all directions. Zichen stood in the center of the storm, his clothes flapping. No matter how the storm raged, it could not affect him at all. The demonic chi that appeared in the surroundings was instantly blown away by the storm. The demon who was about to sneak attack was also blown away by the storm. After the storm disappeared, only one of the two demons was left. The demon's face was full of disbelief. He pointed at Zichen and said, You. All his emotions turned into the word you at this moment, but he could not say anything else. At this moment, Zichen glanced at him coldly, and the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. Demons are just SOSO. The demon's mind shook again, as if he had been struck by lightning. Then his face turned red. It was unknown whether he was angry or using some kind of secret technique. Originally, he was afraid of Zichen, but after Zichen's provocation, he went crazy. The power in his body had been mobilized to the limit, and he attacked Zichen with a sure kill attack. Facing this attack, Zichen was expressionless and punched again. It was still a punch from a perfected primal core expert, but it destroyed the demon's powerful attack. Then, the surging power landed on the demon's body. In the blink of an eye, the power reached a limit, and the demon's body exploded. One punch and another punch. Just now, they had only heard the explosion, but they did not know how the demon died. Now that they saw Zichen blow the demon up with one punch, they were shocked. The surging power slowly dissipated in Cripple's side. As expected, even if it's just primal core, Zichen's combat power is extremely terrifying. That day, I suspected that you and the demon ape were still alive. Right, where's the demon ape? Zichen walked towards Cripple. The demon ape is outside. He hasn't come back. Sophie looked at Zichen and asked, Then why did you come back this time? I came to find my friends. I was afraid they would be in danger, Zichen explained. Cripple laughed strangely. You're worried about your little lovers, aren't you? Zichen did not deny it. I wanted to drink with you, but now that the tavern is occupied, we can only defend this square. I don't know how long we can do that, Cripple said with a smile. I have wine here. Zichen's hand flashed, and several bottles of wine appeared. Cripple laughed. Okay, let's drink to our heart's content. After all, the demons won't appear today. Sophie gently said, Drink less. It's bad for your body. Cripple said, It's fine. I'm happy that Zichen is here. Chapter 1002. There was wine, no food but words. Zichen learned about the details of the law riot. It was Cripple who blocked the attack for Sophie. As for the old man, he died without a complete corpse under the power of law. Now, only the 5 of them were left in the starting ground. One had to know that there were more than 10 people who had come here. After learning that the others had all died in battle, Zichen sank into silence. When the mutation occurred, a loophole appeared in the law, and the demons took advantage of it to invade. They were the first batch of experts to arrive, but they were also the last batch. We also lost contact with the body cultivators and were unable to find reinforcements. We could only defend to the death. Looking at the 5 people who were unafraid of death, Zichen's face was full of bitterness. After drinking the wine in the pot in one gulp, Zichen asked, Is there no other way? Cripple said, "There is no other way except to die in battle. We can't enter the ancient road of trials again." Zichen opened another pot of wine. Cripple did not hesitate and said firmly, "Our duty is to guard this place and open a path for the trial takers. If we leave, this place will be completely overrun, and the trial takers who come in will only have one path: death. The major forces have already recalled their experts from the ancient road. Now, they are strictly restricting the Dan Primes of their clans from entering the trials. There is no point in you staying here," Zichen persuaded. Sophie looked at Zichen and said, "We also feel that the number of trial takers has decreased recently, but there are still trial takers, right? If we leave, it will be greatly unfair to them." Seeing the 5 people's determined expressions, Zichen knew that he could not persuade them to leave. He could only ask, "How can I help you?" Cripple smiled and said, "You just have to help us kill the 2 demons who will come in tomorrow. Is there no way to solve this problem once and for all?" Zichen asked again. Cripple smiled bitterly and said, "More than half of the entire starting ground has been occupied by the demons. Now, they are the masters of this place. However, if you really want to think of a way, there is one, and that is to drive all the demons out of the starting ground. Perhaps the power of law here can repair the loophole on its own." Cripple continued, "But that's just wishful thinking. There are too many demons outside. It's not realistic to think that we can drive them out with just the few of us." Zichen's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. He asked, "What's wrong? Could it be that there are demons of the Earth origin stage outside? How is that possible?" Cripple glanced at Zichen and said, "Although there are some loopholes in the rules here, they're still in effect. The demons who enter here are all limited to the early stage of the human origin realm." Zichen nodded and breathed a sigh of relief. "That's good. Leave it to me. You." Everyone looked at Zichen suspiciously. Suo Fei said, "Zichen, it's not that we don't trust you. It's just that the demon tribe is too strong and there are too many of them. No matter how strong you are still a Jindan essence expert. You will be exhausted to death. We are already like this. It doesn't matter if we die, but you still have a lot of room to grow." A confident smile appeared on Zichen's face as he said, "If they can really exhaust me to death, I will have to admire them." As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful aura appeared around Zichen's body. Human origin stage? How is that possible? Sensing Zichen's human origin stage aura, the 5 of them were shocked. However, this shock soon turned into ecstasy. "Nothing is impossible. I just happened to come across a human origin fruit outside, so I broke through after refining it. Human origin fruit!" The 5 of them exclaimed. They had only heard of the human origin fruit, but had never seen it. It was a miraculous fruit of heaven and earth. They all sighed at Zichen's luck. Cripple laughed and said, "You're already very strong. Now that you've broken through, killing those of the same level will be as easy as stepping on ants. We believe that you can help us reclaim this place." The others nodded. They were full of confidence in Zichen. Suo Fei reminded, "Zichen, you must remember to drive all the demons out. Don't let any demon chi come into contact with this place. Otherwise, we're worried that the rules won't be able to be fixed." "Don't worry." The next day, the 6 of them arrived at the edge of the plaza. Suo Fei pointed at the light shield in front of them and said, "This is where the demons invaded. Because of the rules, they can only break the light shield once a day. 2 demons can enter at a time." "Okay, I'll go out when they come in." Zichen nodded and waited for the demons to break the light shield. About an hour later, the light shield started to distort. The demons were attacking the light shield with great force, and the rules inside were also surging. "Be careful, they're coming in," Suo Fei reminded. About 15 minutes later, a strong force broke the light shield. It only left a small hole, and 3 rays of black light came out. 3 demons actually came in. seeing the 3 rays of black light. A cry of surprise came from the side. It seemed that the demons had made some progress in breaking the light shield. The 3 rays of black light rushed out of the light shield. Before they could materialize, a strong gust of wind appeared. This gust of wind swept up the 3 rays of black light and rushed out of the light shield. In a flash, the 3 rays of black light and Zi-Chin disappeared. Inside the light shield, Suo Fei and the others were nervous, hoping that Zi-Chan would succeed. In the outside world, the black mass of demons was constantly attacking the light barrier. The long period of attack caused the power of Lahir to become extremely unstable. In addition to the large area of the light barrier shrinking, the number of powerhouses they sent in was also slowly increasing. Now, 3 were able to enter. It wouldn't be long before more powerhouses entered. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind appeared out of nowhere. Under this strong gust of wind, the demons beside the light shield were blown away. The 3 rays of black light appeared again, turning into 3 demonic figures. When the surrounding demons saw them, they were puzzled. One of them asked, "What's going on, Mosi? Didn't you guys go in?" The demon named Mosi was also puzzled. He looked around and saw many demons staring at the 3 of them. He scratched his head and said, "I don't know. We just went in and encountered a gust of wind. When we reappeared, we were already here. Damned cunning human." Seeing the self-repairing light barrier, all of the demons began to curse. "Don't worry, there's still tomorrow. As long as we know who you are tomorrow." The demon who spoke was halfway through his words when he suddenly stared ahead. The other demons turned around and saw a human standing in the sky. "Human, it's actually a human." The demons rubbed their eyes and exclaimed, "Human, how dare you come here? You're courting death. Die, human." The demons closed in on Zi-Chin. Mosi said coldly, "Human, the gust of wind just now should be your doing. Everything is your doing." Zi-Chin sneered. "It seems that demons aren't stupid despite their big bodies. Human, how dare you come here? You're courting death." With that, Mosi attacked Zi-Chin. He struck out with his palm. The pitch-black palm print surged with demonic energy, emitting a terrifying aura. However, it was obviously unrealistic to kill Zi-Chin with such an attack. The demon had completely underestimated Zi-Chin. The sneer on Zi-Chen's face turned into a dense killing intent. A loud dragon roar resounded. Thousands of lightning bolts appeared. The dragon's soul spear flashed with an even stronger silver light and pierced towards the pitch-black palm. Uft! The attack formed by the pitch-black demonic energy was instantly shattered by the tip of the spear. At the same time, the tip of the spear pierced through the demon's palm. A surge of energy flowed through the palm and entered the demon's body. After the lightning-fast attack, Zi-Chin withdrew his spear. The demon in front of him took 2 steps back. His blood-red eyes were wide open, and his face was filled with shock. He pointed his finger at Zi-Chin as if he wanted to say something. However, before he could say anything, his huge body immediately fell back and crashed onto the ground. "Mosi is dead. Damn it! This human killed Mosi in 1 strike." The other devil race members came to their senses and looked at Zi-Chan in shock. To be able to kill Mortis with a single strike, Zi-Chen's strength was obviously terrifying. Kill this human. Everyone attack." However, after the shock, the demons went berserk. Their eyes flashed with killing intent. The demonic energy around them began to surge. Then they launched what they thought was their strongest attack at Zi-Chin. Demon swallows the world. Demon swallows the world. Divine abilities like Demon swallows the world appeared continuously. Boundless pitch-black demonic energy pressed down on Zi-Chin layer after layer. In the originally pitch-black world, there was no trace of light. In addition, there were many attacks that passed through the pitch-black demonic energy and attacked Zi-Chin. Boom! When the attacks landed on Zi-Chin, his body actually exploded. However, The demons didn't rejoice because there wasn't a trace of flesh and blood in the explosion. In other words, it wasn't a body of flesh and blood. Suddenly, one of the demons sensed a dangerous aura behind him. He instinctively turned around and saw the human from before. However, the human's eyes were glowing gold and silver. He held a power weapon in his hand, and there were two enormous skeletal wings on his back that surged with endless lightning. "You." The demon spat out a single word. However, he couldn't say anything else after that. The long spear pierced through his body, and endless lightning surged. His body, which was originally as black as ink, suddenly had lightning surging on it. When the lightning spread to his entire body, his body instantly exploded. After this explosion, more and more explosions were heard. Some were caused by the explosion of the devil race's power, while others were caused by the explosion of the devil race's body. Zichen unfurled his lightning wings. His entire body was like a bolt of lightning that constantly flashed. However, every time the lightning flashed, it meant that a demon had died. At this moment, the surrounding demons gathered, intending to launch a powerful close-range attack. However, one of them collided with Zichen's fist and was instantly blasted away by the rebounding force. The other demon's expressions changed drastically. "Retreat! Retreat!" A slightly panicked voice rang out. The demons felt that they had encountered trouble. The human in front of them was very fast, and his attack power was incomparably strong. Once a demon faced him, only death would await them. "Use your demonic skills to attack," shouted a demon. Then they used their demonic skills. Unfortunately, their demonic skills weren't as miraculous as the demonic apes. Zichen relied on his lightning speed to completely dodge. Swoosh! Zichen flashed and appeared in front of another demon. This person was constantly giving orders. He should be the leader of the demons. Chapter 1003. The powerful Zichen brought a huge impact to the demons. As soon as the demons rushed over, their bodies exploded with a bang. Self-destruction. It was actually self-destruction. In the previous battles, when they fought against humans, the target of their self-destruction was usually the human. But today, they were also forced to self-destruct. The energy of the self-destruction directly turned into a storm. Before the demon's spiritual sense dissipated, it followed the control of the last spiritual sense and swept towards Zichen. Zichen, who was rushing forward, was just swept up by the energy storm. The other demons stepped forward and protected the demon leader as he retreated. The latter's face was clearly still filled with shock and worry as he stared straight ahead. This human was very powerful. They were not sure if the self-destruction of the demon core could kill him. The terrifying destructive energy suddenly began to distort. A ribbon of silver light separated this energy, and then Zichen strode out. Seeing Zichen walk out, all the demons' faces were filled with shock. In his hand, the silver spear was still powerful, and the aura surging from his body was just as terrifying. His eyes were as cold as lightning, and killing intent burst out. The destructive energy produced by the explosion of the demon core just now did not injure him. The only thing that proved that the demon core had exploded was that there were now some wrinkles and cracks on his originally neat and clean robes. How could this be? The self-destruction could not kill him. It did not even injure him. All the demons were deeply shocked by the scene in front of them. In their expressions, for the first time, there was a hint of retreat. Zichen rushed out, and his figure paused in the air for a short while, as if he was enjoying the shocked gazes of the demons. However, in the next moment, a look of horror appeared on the demon leader's face. A powerful aura surged around him, and he struck behind him. Pooh! But before his strike landed, the silver spear pierced through his heart, piercing through his back and out his front. In front of him, the figure of Zichen holding the spear slowly dissipated. Leader, feeling the vitality of their leader gradually fading away, The demons, who had just been a little timid and wanted to retreat, went crazy again at this moment. Almost without any warning, the bodies of the demons beside him exploded, and they exploded their own devil cores. The last strand of spiritual thought controlled the energy of the self-explosion, which completely engulfed Ziqin. This time, the destructive energy was even more terrifying. Moreover, it overlapped, and its power increased by more than 10 times. This time it's time to die. The demons all scattered. Their crimson eyes looked forward, their hearts filled with anticipation. They had never seen such a powerful and difficult human being to kill. The light that resembled a waterfall reappeared. The group of devils had the urge to curse in their hearts. The spear light slashed apart the destructive energy, and Ziqin walked out. This time his figure seemed to be staggering. The devils relaxed slightly, thinking that the other party was injured. However, when they saw that the person who rushed out only had his clothes even more tattered, and there wasn't even a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, they went completely berserk, completely shocked, completely furious, and completely wanted to curse. Aren't humans supposed to have poor physiques? Why is this guy's physique even stronger than ours? Several devil cores exploded, but he wasn't injured at all. Is he a human or a devil? This question was obviously very easy to answer. If the other party was a devil, he probably wouldn't be killing a devil. On Ziqin's back, the thunder wings began to vibrate. His body began to flash like lightning. However, if one looked closely, one could see that although Ziqin's attacks were still sharp, he was much more careful than before. Devils were more decisive than humans. Although Ziqin wasn't afraid of several people exploding at the same time, he was still somewhat embarrassed. Moreover, if he was slightly careless, he might be injured, so it was better to be careful. Of course, Ziqin's so-called careful was to kill the enemy quickly, not giving the devils any time to breathe. After killing one person, the devils were not afraid. Instead, they were furious and felt that they had been greatly humiliated. After killing 5 people, the devils were indifferent. After killing 10 people, they were burning with anger. By the time they had killed 20 people, their expressions had changed. Among their angry expressions, there was shock and horror. When this number continued to increase, the devils' expressions became flustered. They had never known what fear was, but fear rose from the bottom of their hearts. They were not afraid of death. Every one of them had the idea of dragging the humans down with them. However, at this moment, the reality was that even if they died, they couldn't injure the other party. From the beginning of the battle, it was a massacre. Go. The devils were finally scared out of their wits. Someone shouted, and the group of devils began to retreat, preparing to leave the starting ground. Want to leave? Not so easy. Hearing the cold voice of the human, the devils' hearts trembled again. He didn't want to let them go. It was clear that this human had the idea of slaughtering them all. 2 rays of light shot out from Ziqin's body and turned into doppelgangers. They were the yin and yang doppelgangers. As the 2 doppelgangers appeared, their hands began to form seals. As the seals fell, 2 large seals emitting a terrifying aura appeared. This was the innate technique, Heavenly Thunder Seal. At this moment, it was displayed with the yin and yang energy. The large seals appeared at the same time and pressed down on the devils below. As the large seals fell, the yin and yang collided and exploded with a boom. This boom completely covered the sound of the devil core's explosion. It formed a destructive storm that swept over more than 10 devils. Mournful screams rang out from the storm. When the other devils heard it, their hearts trembled and they fled even faster. When the destructive energy dissipated, none of the devils who were swept away escaped. They were all dead, and there were no more devils around Ziqin. The entire starting ground was completely reclaimed by Ziqin in less than a quarter of an hour. Inside the light shield, although Sophie and the others were full of confidence in Ziqin, their faces were still full of worry. They looked up and saw that the light shield was constantly twisting and trembling. Moreover, The already dense devil chi seemed to have become denser. Suddenly, a dazzling white light appeared above the light shield, dispelling a large amount of devil chi. Zi Chen's figure flashed and disappeared, but soon, more devil chi filled the shield again. There are too many devils. Will Zi Chen be okay? A human origin realm cultivator murmured. Don't worry. Zi Chen is already in the human origin realm. In the starting ground, he can be considered invincible. It will be difficult for these devils to kill him. Cripple pretended to be relaxed, but the bite marks on his lips showed that he was not calm at the moment. Above the light shield, white light flashed from time to time, like brilliant fireworks in the dark night. Anyway, like fireworks, it disappeared after the brilliance. The pitch-black demonic chi was like a curtain of night that enveloped the light barrier of rules. The pressure made their hearts feel heavy. The devil chi seems to be a little less. Under the dispelling of the brilliant light, everyone found that there seemed to be a little more white light in the dark devil chi above their heads. One had to know that ever since the devils invaded the starting ground, they hadn't seen white light from the outside world. It's less, it's less. Beside them, an excited voice sounded. Boom! With a final boom, the starting ground shook as if the night was torn apart by white light. The night disappeared and the sky was bright. Through the light shield, they saw a figure holding a spear. At this moment, this figure was tall and imposing. It's Zi Chen. He did it. Zi Chen did it. He drove all the devils out. The human origin realm cultivators were shouting excitedly like children. All the devils had left the starting ground. The light shield that had been compressed for a long time suddenly began to tremble, emitting rays of light and expanding. Within the light shield, the power of laws reappeared until it completely expanded, covering the starting ground once again. Zi Chen's token began to glow again. The power of laws didn't expel Zi Chen, but instead protected him in the middle. Zi Chen, Zi Chen. Cripple and the others raised their heads and shouted. At this moment, the starting ground was completely recovered. They were very happy. Zi Chen descended from the sky and put away the spear in his hand. Amazing, truly amazing. Reclaiming the starting ground is a huge contribution to humanity, Cripple and the others exclaimed in admiration. Zi Chen didn't have much expression on his face. Instead, he asked indifferently, "How is it? Has the power of laws been restored?" Cripple sensed and said, "Although it hasn't been restored, it's almost done. There are no more devils here. If they want to come back, they will have to spend a lot of effort. Moreover, after the power of laws is restored, we can still use it. If the devils come back, they will definitely die." Zi Chen nodded and was completely relieved. "Can you contact the body cultivator lineage?" Zi Chen asked. Cripple shook his head and said, "Currently we can't contact them. I'm afraid we will have to wait for a while." During this time, Zi Chen took out the token and tried to sense it. However, he still couldn't teleport. If you are really in a hurry, you can first step on the ancient road of trials. Maybe you can use the token to teleport there, Cripple said. Then that's the only way. Zi Chen looked at everyone and said, "Since that's the case, I will leave." Go now." Everyone was astonished. Zi Chen nodded. He had already made up his mind. Since it was useless to dissuade him, they let Zi Chen leave. Zi Chen stepped on the ancient road again. However, this time he didn't step on the ancient road as a trial taker. Instead, he stepped on the ancient road as a guardian. He had the token in his hand, so he didn't need to suppress his cultivation at all. He could go through the ancient road again. However, the only regret was that the power of laws on the ancient road was incomplete. Zi Chen couldn't use it. Along the way, Zi Chen saw the changes on the ancient road. Spatial cracks would appear from time to time. To trial takers, these cracks were indeed fatal. In addition, there were many devils invading the ancient road, which increased the difficulty of the ancient road. When Zi Chen reached the 5th ancient road, he finally sensed that the token could be used. Following a flash of light, Zichen arrived at another ancient road. Following his senses, Zichen found that he had actually arrived at the fifth ancient road. However, this ancient road was different from the one he had arrived at before. However, the fifth ancient road was the first human gathering place. This would never change. Zichen crossed the fifth ancient road. During this time, he released the aura of the human origin realm. Neither the strange beasts nor the devils on the ancient road dared to provoke Zichen. They let Zichen go. Zichen smoothly crossed the fifth ancient road and arrived at the fifth ancient road, the first human gathering place.